back to another video. Today we're finally doing the review of Murders at Karlov Manor, which is the newest set that should be coming out soon. If I'm not mistaken, the pre-release is this week. So we're gonna go through all the cards in the boosters. I have this here in case we need to refresh on the mechanics. But yeah, this is kind of a first reaction as well. I've seen some cards on Twitter because you inevitably see people sharing and saying this card is broken, this is whatever. So yeah, we'll kind of go through them and see how I feel about them in the sense of limited and kind of the arena formats, if there's something that can be built there. Obviously there's also modern, legacy and whatever, but those obviously I don't know as much as the other ones. So yeah, well, let's get started then. So we have Case of the Shadow Pack. So this is a new mechanic. When this case a new card type, new enchantment type rather, enters the battlefield, search your library for basic land card, review it, and put it into your hand and shuffle. Cool. It's a 2-mana cardless search for land. I like this for limited already. So to solve at the end of your turn, this triggers, and then if you can, if you have the necessary whatever it asks, it's solved, and then you're gonna get this ability from the next turn onwards. So to solve this, there's 5 color among permanents you control. I don't know. There probably will be some weird 5 color decks you can do in limited, but first glance, not exciting to solve. Just kind of like this is fixing. Beginning of combat unit turn, creature control gains flying, double strike, and vigilance until end of turn. I mean, that's pretty powerful. I don't know how viable it is to get 5 color among permanents you control in limited at least. In constructed, I don't think this is all that exciting. Maybe standard you could do something about it, but I think all the other ones. Obviously, I know about one 5 color card that's the ley line that can start in your hand, and that kind of works with this. But I think if you're doing ley line stuff, you're probably doing other broken stuff. I think this is more limited. Although this solved ability can be very, very powerful. Next, I have 5 mana, 4/3 flying, absolving Lamasu. I'm assuming this is for limited. Enters the battlefield, all suspected creatures are no longer suspected. So whenever you suspect a creature, he gets menace and can't block. So a suspected creature has menace and can't block. So he enters battlefield, all creatures no longer suspected. That's interesting. When it dies, you gain 3 life, suspect up to 1 creature. It's a 5 mana 4/3 flyer. That's pretty decent for limited. It's not going to be played anywhere else. But yeah, for limited, I'm happy to have that in my deck. Next, I've assembled the prayer, 1 in a white for an rare enchantment. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. That's nice. Once each turn, you may cast a creature spell for 2 less from the top of your library. That seems that it can be very, very powerful in sideboards of like weenie decks, maybe Death and Taxes. And I mean, Death and Taxes for like historic typeless kind of thing. I'm not talking about modern Death and Taxes, but maybe even there, because it's a nice powerful ability. I don't know how many creatures, someone will probably need to do the math, how many creatures you want in your deck with this. With power 2 or less, that might need to be quite a high number to make this playable. But it has potential. Limited, probably not worth it. Aurelia's Vindicator, now a mythic. 2 and double white for 4/2, flying lifelink and Ward 2. I don't need to read anything else, that's already perfect for limited. Disguise. So Disguise is the new mechanic that's basically like Morph, but it's a Morph with Ward 2. It's a 2/2 for 3 colorless creature that has Ward 2. Fantastic. As is, so this one, you can flip it by its Disguise cost, which in this case is 3 in a white and X. When instant face up, exile up to X other creatures from the battlefield and all creature cards from graveyards. When he leaves the battlefield, return the exile cards to their owner's hands. That's interesting. You can exile your own creatures that have died, so when this guy dies, you're gonna rebuy a bunch of things, which sounds fantastic. Especially for limited. Seems like a real powerhouse. Obviously, if you're playing as a Disguise creature, it's only a 2/2, which kind of... I guess this is, if you play face up, it also has 2 toughness, so it's already exposed to removal anyway. Keeps the Ward 2, so that's fantastic. I'm unsure how powerful it would be. I don't think you'll quite get to constructed, maybe standard, but I don't think any of the other older formats, because the Disguise cost is quite expensive. You're flipping it for... You need at least 5 mana, so you already invested 3 to morph it or to disguise it, and another 5 to flip it, so you're already 8 mana investment. I don't know, it seems limited bomb, not much further than that, I would say. Auspicious Arrival, 1 and a white for an instant that target creature gets +2/+2, and then you make a clue token. Solid combat trick for limited, nothing else. I mean, wouldn't mind having 1 or 2 of this in my deck. I guess my aggressive decks. Call a Surprise Witness, 1 and a white for sorcery. Return that creature with mana value 3 or less from a graveyard to the battlefield. Put a flying counter on it. It's a spirit in addition to its other types. Value 3 or less makes this less exciting. I mean, you can do cool things in it with it. I guess there's Monastery Mentor that people are playing with the 1 mana Unearth. So this is like an extra copy of that. It also gives it flying. There is the 4/3 red guy that brings back vehicles from your graveyard. Could be interesting. I think there's plates, but I don't think it's limited target. But I think there are things to do, but I think you already have a better effect since it's only 1 mana, the Unearth. I can't remember what the card is called. Helping Hand? It's not Helping Hand. There's no way it's Helping Hand. I hope there's nothing weird. Helping Hand, MTG. It is Helping Hand, cool. So this is the card I'm referring to. So return that creature card with mana value 2 or less from graveyard to the battlefield tapped. There's only 1 mana. This is for 1 more mana, but it gets flying. If you want extra copies of Helping Hand, sure. But other than that, I don't think it makes the cut. This is in Spanish. So Auditor of Judicial Expedient. That's okay, cool. I forget they make jokes for the names. So when you enter the battlefield and whenever you solve a case, look at the top 6 cards of the library. That's nice. You may reveal an enchant among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest at the bottom of the library in any order. You may use as mana as though you were mana of any color to cast case spells. If there's a 5-color case deck in limited, you probably want this person. But I don't think this makes the cut anywhere else. Just a limited card. We have another case here of the Gateway Express. Whenever this case enters the battlefield, choose that creature you don't control. Each creature controlled does 1 damage to that creature. Okay, that's interesting. And then 3 or more creatures attack this turn to solve it, and creatures you control get +1/+0. I can see that being good in constructed Winnie decks. If you have a lot of 1-drops, play this. Definitely kill a creature, one of the earlier creatures from your opponents. Very easy to solve, honestly, especially if you have tokens, I guess. And then there's a small Anthem effect, obviously just +1/+0, but still, this is interesting for actual constructed. I love the Winnie token deck, so I'll probably do something stupid with this at some point. Another case of the Pilfered Proof. Whenever Detective, which is a creature type, enters the battlefield under control, and whenever Detective you control is turned face up, pull a +1/+1 counter on it. Okay, your Detectives gets bigger, so like a Detective Tribal. Is the disguise a detective? I don't think so, right? True. I don't think it has no creature type. To solve, you control 3 or more detectives. Probably doable. If 1 or more token will be created under control, those token plus a clue token are created instead. That payoff seems mid, because you don't get anything straight away from the payoff. You kind of need to do more to then get something, and that something is just a clue token, which then you have to pay 2 mana to then get a card. So I don't think it's... I mean, the first ability is nice. The solving, everything else, kind of whatever. I think in limited it can be interesting. I don't know how good the detectives are, as I haven't seen them before. We have seen this detective, and that's it. So I don't know how good they'll be for constructed, but I'll be surprised. 1 mana case of the Uneaten Feast. Whenever creature enters the battlefield under control, you gain 1 life. Those cards are usually good. For this, like the Soul Sister-esque decks with like a Johnny's Bridesmaid and things like that. You've gained 5 more life this turn. Fully doable for these kind of decks. Sacrifice a creature in your graveyard. Gain. You may cast this card from your graveyard until end of turn. Okay, this card is really good. There's obviously the Angel deck in Historic, if I'm not mistaken. I always get Historic and Explorer a bit muddled up. Where they're already gaining a bunch of life, so having this to be able to recast the cards that died early in the game as you trade them off, because you probably will be able to gain 5 life, since you have the 1/4, then whenever an angel enters the battlefield you gain 4 life, so this is a powerful card, and we'll see constructed play. I'll be able to be in these arena formats. Up next we have the Fenestrated Phantom, 6 mana for 4/3 flyer that you can play for 3 as a morph and flip up for 5. Solid limited card. Fills up your curve on 3 if you need, flips up on 5 as a 4/3 fly, even if you play for 6 mana for 3 flyer is still fine. Albeit, I mean, not super exciting, but still fine. Up next, we have Downy, or I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but Downy will say Streetwise Lookout. 3 mana, 2/2 mythic human scout, legendary human scout. Creatures you control power 2 or less can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater. For winning decks, fantastic. Could be like a top end for your deck, your curve ender. If an ability of a creature control with power 2 or less triggers, the ability triggers an additional time. That's pretty freaking good, isn't it? I mean, we were mentioning Monastery Mentor earlier, that makes Monastery Mentor trigger twice. Esper Sentinel triggers twice. Whenever like opponent casts a non-creature spell, they will have to pay either both twice, or they would have to let you draw 2 cards. Those are the 2 that come off my head right now. There's probably other powerful ones on Arena. Yeah, this is good. I mean, there's definitely that. I mean, Amalia. No, Amalia's not that great, I guess, because obviously it's gonna get out of range. But you know, definitely has a deck somewhere. Very powerful ability. There's broken stuff to be done, or at least a lot of value to be gained. I kind of like it. Might have to check it for my commander deck, because I do ETB stuff. Anyways, Doorkeeper Throw, 1/2 for 2 mana, flying throw with flash. Artifacting creatures entering battlefield don't cause ability to trail. Okay, we have seen a bunch of these in the past. We saw the 1/3 for Mixolan, that was just that. There was the one that they had to pay 2 extra mana, that was a flyer. There's definitely other ones that can't name right now, but this one has flash, which is interesting. You can hold up your mana, your opponent plays something, and then you respond with this, so they don't get ability, and artifacts don't trigger either, so that's also nice. So it's a really good hate card. Sideboard material, really good card. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Due Diligence, 2 mana and a white for 3 mana. Aura, whenever this battlefield creature control other than enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and vigilance end of turn, and the equipped creature gets +2/+2 and vigilance. I mean, seems really, really like a big hit, if albeit a bit awkward on the curve. So I guess if you go a turn 1 into a turn 2 and follow it up with this in limited, it's pretty nice, because you get to hit for at least, well, we're looking at 4 damage. If they're both 1/1s, for example, 1 power creature, hitting for at least 6 damage with vigilance. Solid, potentially. Interesting, in the least. Limited card, obviously. So now we have a 1/10 Golem for 5 mana with Disguise. Whenever it's faced up, creatures you control gain hexproof until end of turn, and you untap them. The size is very weird. 1/10 is a weird size. But the ability is very powerful, and I mean, obviously limited. I don't think this would ever be playable when constructed, but for limited, it's the powerful ability to have. A worst case scenario, you have a 3 mana 2/2, because you're never playing it straight up. You're playing it face down every time, because you want to get this ability. Maybe sideboard material for limited, unsure. This is another Spanish card, a familiar Hemcat. That's not. Is it like the forum's familiar or something like that? I'm not sure. Hemcat. So as Disguise, a 1 mana 1/1. Otherwise, it's turn faced up. Return an artifact when you control tweets on the hand and put a counter on it. That's nice. You get to return. I mean, you can return a land, but then you're only getting a 2/2. So it's like, why is this uncommon though? I guess because it returns something. It can be nice, but I'm unsure why this is uncommon. I mean, a 1 mana 1/1 mediocre, 3 mana 2/2 morph mediocre. You get to unmorph for 2, make it a 2/2 still, and bounce something you control. I mean, it seems very mid to bad actually in limited, especially, and I don't see it like I don't think this mechanic will cut it in constructed. I think it's too expensive. Playing 3 mana 2/2s, even if they have War 2, is subpar in constructed, I would argue. Cool, we have Griffnot Tracker, 4 mana 3/2 flyer. A lot of flyers here. Is a detective as well. In this battlefield, we exile up to 2 cards from a single graveyard. 3/2 flyer for 4. You're playing that in limited. Exile 2 cards from a single graveyard. There probably is some graveyard hate you want to do. So, you know, solid abilities, limited card. Nothing more than that. Hazard Vigilant, 5 mana for 4, enters battlefield or attacks. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature control with power 2 or less. So there's this Winnie kind of idea in the set that's pretty cool. Obviously, if you're putting counters on something, they will soon get out of range, so you're probably gonna need a couple more creatures to put counters on. But you know, still solid card. Could be a top ending limited. Inside Source, 3 mana for a 1/1 human citizen. When he enters, you create a 2/2 white and blue detective creature token, and you can pay 3 and tap it to give. Why only vigilance? Give a detective control +2/+1 vigilance. I mean, it's 3 power amongst 2 bodies for 3 mana, you're happy with that, and it has an ability that can come up, but only being able to activate as a sorcery is very underwhelming. But I mean, still, 3 mana for 3 power between 2 bodies, it's pretty decent and limited. Karlov, especially with all these guys that care about 2 power creatures, you're getting 2 of them from 1 card, so you know, makes your vigilance better. Also triggers the Downy as well, so that's nice. Well, Downy lets makes it trigger twice. Karlov Watchdog, 4 mana for 3/2 vigilance. When your opponent control can't be turned face up during your turn. So it takes the surprise factor away, that's nice, a good hate. The body is 4 mana 3/2 is okay. Whenever you attack with 3 or more creatures, you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Okay, cool, this is actually a pretty good card. Your opponent can't surprise you with the morphs. I mean, God, I keep forgetting the disguised. What is the word? Mysterious creature. And you can very easily be attacking with it as a 4/3. It doesn't need to attack itself. Only with 3 more creatures. You can leave it back and attack with like 3 1/1s, and then you're attacking with 3 2/2s instead. Solid card, pretty good card. We'll be happy to have in these Winnie decks in limited. Crowvod Hunch, 1 mana for food equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+0. You can sacrifice to gain 3 life because it's food, and whenever it's put into the graveyard on the battlefield, you can pay 2 mana and create 2 1/1 dog creature tokens. 1 mana equipment is pretty decent, only 2 to equip, so we're talking about like a Bone Splitter, a bit more expensive than a Bone Splitter. MTG. So like Bone Splitter was pretty decent card. It's pretty good in limited and pretty decent even in some constructed. So we're talking about 1 more equip cost for it. And if you ever have to sack it to gain life, which is a nice thing to have, you get to make 2 1/1 tokens as well for 2 mana. So pretty good card. I would be happy to have it. Quite a few copies in my deck. Not gonna lie, in limited again. Make your move, 3 mana, destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature sideboard card for limited. Makeshift Binding, 3 mana for an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, exile target creature and opponent controls until it leaves. Okay, so we're talking about our removal here. 3 mana, you gain some life. If you exile a token, you can obviously later bounce this to your hand with things like the cat that we saw earlier. So yeah, this 3 mana removal, you can't complain for it in limited. Market Watch Phantom, 2 mana for Spirit Detective, 2/2. Whenever another creature power 2 or less, again, power 2 or less, tribal, enters you under control, it gains flying. At its worst, it's a bear, and then if you have other bears or worse than bears, it gets to attack in the air. And if you do it at instant speed, if you flash something with 2 power, you get to block a flyer. It's fine, you'll feel the curve. I'm not excited but not upset to have this in your deck. 4 mana 3/2 Centaur Soldier. When it dies, create a 2/2 detective, and it has disguise again. 4 mana 3/2, again, not excited about that. Doesn't have the 2 power, which is something white seems to care about. Disguise, sure, helps with the curve, but at least it flips up for cheap. That's nice, but not excited about this card whatsoever. Neighborhood Guardian, 2 mana for 2/2, that's nice. Whenever a creature 2 or less power into the battlefield, under your control, target creature control gets +1/+1. So you can sit there and you play this on turn 2, you play another 2 power creature on turn 3, you get attack for 3, you get to make other creatures bigger. This is solid card, will fit quite well in this theme of white. No Witnesses, 2 and double white for sorcery. Each player who controls the most creatures investigates, then destroy all creatures. So 4 mana Wrath, usually if you're casting Wraths, your opponent has more creatures than you, so they will get a clue token. There is a world where you are Wrathing once you have more creatures, then you get to investigate, but that seems unlikely. I mean, it's a 4 mana Wrath. That's constructed playable. We don't like the 4 to 5 difference can be quite huge in some matchups. So 4 mana Wrath, you'll never be upset to have that in your control decks. And in limited, having a Wrath is always nice, because giving them a card is not that meaningful, as opposed to killing all the creatures. So very, very good card. Again, we'll see constructed play. Not on my watch. 2 mana, instant for exile target attacking creature. Yep, that's a solid remove. Exiling is quite nice for only 2 mana as well. Doesn't do blocking, only attacking. That's worth noting. Novus? How I can't pronounce other things. Inspector, 1 mana for 1/2 detective. When he enters, you investigate. Yeah, that's a Thraven Inspector number 2, and we all love Thraven Inspector. So yeah, this card's fantastic. It's a body, gives you an artifact, for artifact meta stuff. You can draw a card later. It's just good. It's a solid card. Give me 17 of them in my deck, in limited. And we'll probably see some constructed play. I mean, Thraven Inspector saw a lot of play. I mean, there were human decks at that point, but even then, like, because of there were a lot of vehicles as well back then. But it was just a good card. Like, this is decent. This is decent. Jesus. On the job, 2 mana and double white for a cool. Creatures you control get +2/+1 until end of turn. Investigate, so you can kind of alpha strike, and you even get a clue for your troubles. Yeah, pretty good card with what we've seen with white wants to do. Very good limited card. Rope Respecter. This Cryfall is funny. It's a 2 mana 1/1 with flying and lifelink. Whenever he enters the battlefield under control, whenever another detective enters the battlefield under control, or if a detective flips up, it becomes big until the end of the turn. If there's enough detectives, this is okay for limited, but even then it's kind of like suspect. I mean, flying lifelink 1/1 for 2 mana, I guess it's nice. And you can always, if you put like the enchantment we saw earlier, do diligence on that is quite nice, to be fair. As if turn 3 attacking with a 3/3 flying lifelink vigilance creature. There's play to it, there's definitely play to it. Sanctuary Wall is a 2 mana 0/4 defender wall with 3 mana tap, and you gotta tap it, yeah. Tap target creature, you may put a stun counter on it. If you put, okay, cool. If you stun the opponent creature, you'll stun the wall as well. Otherwise, you're just paying 3 mana to tap. The 0/4 blocks quite well as well. If you're playing the grindier, slower decks in limited, I guess. Otherwise, I'm not that excited. Putting a stun counter on your opponent's creature is quite nice, though. Although you do lose the wall for turn. That one, I'll have to see it in play and see how the decks look like, but conflicted about that one. Why is that one purple? Okay, no, never mind, it's the mouse. Seasoned Consultant, 1/3 human detective. Whenever you attack with 3 or more creatures, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Again, if we're doing the Winnie deck in limited, this one can be as a 3/3 attacking. Solid. A 1/3 body fills the curve with. It's fine, it blocks quite well. It stops your opponent from hitting you. So yeah, this is a fine limited card. I do not speak Japanese. 10th District Hero. So it's a 2/3 for 2, solid body already. Collect evidence. So evidence, you have to exile cards with the cost equal to that thing that they ask. But if you want to make, okay, cool. The new keyword collected appears with a number. Collect evidence, the cost that you may be asked to pay in a variety of contexts. It can be part of activation. Cool. Whenever this creature becomes attacked with a spell ability. Cool, you have to exile cards with total mana value X or more. So in this case, you have to exile total mana value X from your graveyard. So 2 or more from your graveyard. It becomes a human detective with base power. Okay, it becomes a 4/4. So it's just making itself bigger. That's quite nice. Detective becomes a legendary creature named Mileva the Stalwart. It has base power and toughness 5/5 against other creatures. That's really freaking powerful. I mean, this is a limited, not quite bomb, but very, very good card in limited. But this can definitely be played to construct like 2/3 solid body, having evidence 2, which is only 2 mana value in your graveyard, and 4 mana value doesn't seem that difficult. It becomes a 4/4 with vigilance, so that's a pretty hard hitting, and then a 5/5 that gives other creatures indestructible. Worth noting, you don't have to do it during your turn, at least from the translation. No sorcerer speed, so that's quite nice. You can make it a 4/4 in response to removal. If you like, you can in response to them trying to kill it, you can get cards in your graveyard to then collect evidence and make it bigger. So that's worth noting. Very powerful card. I'll be surprised if it doesn't see constructed play. Unyielding Gatekeeper. 2 mana for 3/2 Elephant Cleric with the Disguise mechanic. When it's turn face up, exile now target non-permanent. If you control it, return it to battlefield tap, so you get to blink something. That's hot. Otherwise, you control... Okay, or otherwise you fully remove it from the game and they get a 2/2 token. That seems really freaking powerful. Again, I'm very wary of the morph, or I guess in this case, the... Oh god, what's the word? Disguise mechanic in constructed, in the obviously older constructed format. So maybe standard, it could work, but I don't see this like any disguising morphing working like timeless. I'll be shocked in historic, and explorer even can be quite fast as well, so I don't think it would work out well there. I might be underestimating the ward mechanic, just a little +2, the ward 2 on all these guys, but I'm still kind of very wary of these guys in constructed. I think standard, it'll be very cool, very powerful card, but I'm not sure it will make the cut for older formats. Bojack Investigator, 3 mana for 2/4 Flying Vigilance Detective, solid body. If you're beginning of your upkeep, investigate once for each opponent has more cards in hand than you. Yeah, you're emptying your hand out because you're playing a bunch of small creatures, and then you just get a bunch. You get a one clue token per turn. Obviously, a clue token you gotta then invest 2 mana to draw a card, but you kind of get to control your hand size then, because you don't have to draw them immediately. You can draw your opponent's end step. So yeah, solid card. Again, it's an angel. There's angel decks that could mean something. Body is decent, limited, no need to say. It's very good card. Yeah, I like this card. I'm not sure if there's a deck for it right now in like timeless, but the angel decks in historic and such could be somewhere. Could be a place for it. We have a wrench, an actual wrench, a clue equipment. It has the clue ability, so you can sack it to draw a card. It has equip 2. It's only 1 mana for the enchantment, so that's nice. It's the same thing we talked about earlier with the Haunch. Is 1 mana with only 2 mana to equip, so that's nice. And equip creature with +1/+1. It has vigilance and has 3 tap to tap a creature. I like the +1/+1 in vigilance. I don't really care about the tap part. I guess you can attack and tap something. This one sorry, I skipped it. This one gives +2/+0. This one gives +1/+1. They're both uncommons on the... Yeah, I mean, you're definitely playing them in your deck if you're playing all these weenie guys. Not constructed playable, but you know, it's a solid card. You probably want a couple of equipments, and these are good equipments. I guess the vigilance, I'm undervaluing it because you get to attack and then tap something. Can open the way. Quite nice. Cool, we're up to the blue cards now. Agency Outfitter, 6 mana for 4/3 flyer, solid. Detective, Sphinx. Does that cat have a mustache? It looks like the Sphinx has a mustache, doesn't it? Cool, that's fantastic. When you enter the battlefield, you may search your graveyard, hand, or library for a card named Magnifying Glass and or a card named Thinking Cap and put them onto the battlefield. If you search the library this way, shuffle. Cool. What we're gonna do real quick here, we're gonna search for the card. I mean, I assume they're in the set. So magnifying. I've heard Magnifying Glass. I'm pretty sure this is a reprint. Why am I misspelling magnifying? Is it a reprint? It is a reprint, right? Yeah, it is a reprint. Cool. So it's you can search for this, which adds a mana. Does it put it into your hand? You put it on the battlefield. That's quite nice. Put it on the battlefield. I mean, 6 mana for 3 fly is solid, but you're getting like a glass. So if you're going long, you got to investigate a bunch. That's nice. And the other one was a Thinking Cap. Thinking Cap, I'm assuming it's equipment. Yeah, it is. Equipment, equip creature at +1/+2, and it's cheaper to equip detectives. That's pretty solid. Oh, cool. Can you search for Can you search for one of them? And or so you have both in your deck, you get to get both. So you can get for 6 mana, you can get 10 mana worth of permanents. Very good card. I mean, obviously it gets a lot better if you have either Thinking Cap or Magnifying Glass in your deck. But yeah, very good limited card. Behind the Mask, does that not look like Nicolas Cage? Might just be me. Behind the Mask. 1 mana for an instant. An additional cost to cast a spell, you gotta exile cards with mana value 6 or greater from your graveyard. Until of turn, target effect or creature becomes a 4/3. If evidence was collected, his base power and toughness. Oh, you may. Okay, cool. So you can either use it as a remove, like make your opponent creature 1/1, or if you don't collect evidence, you just get to attack with a 4/3, which is nice for 1 mana. I mean, it's weird conditional potentially removal. You have playing limited, but sideboard card in limited, I would argue. Benthic Criminologist, 5 mana for 4/5 wizard, Merfolk wizard. When you enter the battlefield or attacks, you may sacrifice an artifact. If you do, draw a card. How many artifacts are we talking about in this format? I'm not sacking my clue tokens to draw a card with this guy because I want to use the 2 mana to sack to my clue tokens. So I'm not really excited about sacking clue tokens to it. We've seen a few equipments, but I don't know if I want to be sacking equipments to draw cards. This is probably mid. The body is nice though. 5 mana 4/5 is solid body for a common card. But yeah, I'm not sure how to feel about it. Not excited. Bubble Smuggler, 2 mana 2/1 octopus fish. Nice. It has disguise, and whenever it's turned faced up, you make it freaking huge. Okay, cool. You can either play as a 2 mana 2/1, passable. You can play as a 3 mana 2/2 War 2, and then for another 6, so that's like a 9 mana investment over 2 turns. You get a what is that? Is it a 6/5? I mean, that's good. It fits so well in the curve in limited. You either play as a 2-drop, a 3-drop, or playing as a 3-drop and flipping it as a 6. So yeah, this guy is solid in limited. Fits a lot on the curve, will help you a lot. So yeah. Burden of Proof. Why did my voice do that? 2 mana. Is a flash aura enchant creature. Enchant the creature gets +2/+2 as long as it's a detective. As long as it's a detective you control, that's important. So you can equip opposing detectives. Otherwise, it has base power and toughness 1/1, can't block detectives. So yeah, you can kind of play detective tribe. I guess it'll be a blue-white kind of thing. Maybe we'll see other detective stuff in the other colors. If you're on detective deck, you can basically put a weird pacifism on a creature. At worst, it's making it a 1/1, even if you don't have any detective, so that's nice. Or you can make your creature bigger. It can work in so many ways. I think it has a lot of play because of that. So it's a nice card to have in your deck. It's not something you pick early, but it's definitely something you wouldn't mind having in your deck, I would argue. Candlestick, 1 mana for another 1 mana equipment, so you can equip for 2. You can sack it to draw a card with the clue equipment. Equip creature gets +1/+1. Whenever it attacks, you get to surveil 2, so you get to feed the collect evidence cards in your deck. And you kind of also, setting up your next few draws as well. Yeah, this is a solid equipment. Again, I'm really liking these 1 mana equipments that equip for only 2 mana. That's very cheap. Very, very powerful and limited. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm definitely will play quite a few equipments in my deck. Especially like Winnie decks with Winnie creatures with equipments. Very excited. Another case of the Filched Falcon. When he enters, you investigate. So 1 mana. You get to later spend another 2 to draw a card. Mid. If you control 3, to solve it, you have to have 3 or more artifacts. And then if you do, you get to pay 3 and sacrifice it. Seems a lot of work. I don't know how easy it will be to get 3 artifacts. I mean, we saw obviously the clues, we saw the equipment. But then only to make one of your... I guess it makes a 4/4 flyer. If it was just a 4/4, probably very but since it makes a 4/4 fly, it makes it a bit better. Probably like on a scale of 1 to 5, probably be like a solid 3. Like very I'm happy to have it in my deck, but it's as long as I can complete it. If you can't do this consistently, if you can't solve it consistently, 3 mana to draw a card is not where you want to be. Case of the Ransack Lab. So it's a rare case. Instant sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. That already makes me think constructed or not limited. You've cast 4 more instant sorcery this turn, that's constructed. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell, draw a card. I mean, first thing that comes to mind is obviously Phoenix, but they're already playing a bunch of 1 mana spells, so you're not really getting the value from the first part. Now you have your lightning axes, you have your lightning bolts, you have your opts in your considers. And there's probably other cards I can't think off the top of my head right now. So you're not getting the value from this. You can obviously solve it, but then, obviously if you solve it, it's very powerful. Maybe sideboard, but you kind of need to stock up. Maybe there's some kind of storm deck to be had with Underworld Breach. But first glance, I think it's 3 mana is a lot of mana, man. For a do nothing enchantment, for construct, you know, you're just playing this on turn 3 and it does nothing. You get nothing out of it from the get-go. So yeah, I think you unfortunately be more, we'll go commander, go enjoy yourself in commander. Cold Case Cracker, 4 mana, spirited, 4 mana 3/3 flyer, excited. When it dies, you investigate, excited. It has a valid, not a valid, very good, relevant creature type in detective. So yeah, this is a good limited card. Seeing a lot of exciting flyers. I'm happy about that. We have a mythic card, 7 mana, 6/6 flying Sphinx detective. You may collect the evidence 10 rather than pay the mana cost for spells that you cast. Evidence 10 is a lot of evidence. You can... I'm thinking here of like sneak attack. You sneak attack this in, and then obviously you have a lot of other big creatures in your deck, so you can, I guess at that point you're just sneaking the other big stuff in. There's Omniscience. For you guys that don't know Omniscience, it's on Arena. How do you spell Omniscience? That's definitely not how you spell Omniscience. Omniscience. There we go. So this is on Arena. If you can get this fella into play, and I mean Omniscience itself is 10, so if you have a second one in your graveyard, or the things you got you to the stage where you got the Conspiracy Unraveler into play, you can play Omniscience from your hand, and then you can cast everything from your deck. Well, from your hand, and then eventually your deck. I think someone smart can do something done with Omniscience in this. I am not that smart. Limited is a 7 mana 6/6 flyer, and the ability is not that relevant. This is actually not that good in limited, I guess, unless the limited is slow enough where you're playing 7 mana for 6/6, because this is not that relevant. So yeah, this is more, I mean, obviously, like, I'm not even going to mention Commander. Obviously Commander will have a field day with this, but I think there's something to be had Omniscience with Conspiracy Unraveler. Coveted Falcon, 3 mana 1/4 flyer. When it attacks, you gain control of permanent you own but don't control. Nice. I mean, there's the commander, the Jeskai Commander Goat thingy. That's the first thing that came to mind. It has the Disguise ability. When it's turn face up, target gains control of any other target you control. Huh. That seems so difficult to make it work in limited, huh? What are you giving your opponent? I mean, I guess late game you can give them lands. Just so, like, you can give like extra lands that you don't need, or creatures that are not relevant anymore, and then you draw a bunch of cards. Then if the Falcon ever gets to attack, you get to get them back, but that's obviously not a certainty. And in Constructed, I don't think their ability will matter that much. I can't think of many decks stealing your stuff. The game's not going long enough for you to be giving too many cards away. Obviously, there's cards with bad effects. Or cards... Okay, there's cards with like Chalice of the Void. It doesn't matter whose side of the field it is. You can give that away. Blood Moon. It doesn't matter if it's on your side or that side. All the lands are going to be mountains anyway. So like that works with the Falcon. But that just seems too expensive, and I don't want to play the Falcon in those decks. I think it can be okay in limited if you can make it like very late game, just give them excess lands and mediocre creatures to draw a bunch of cards, and then slowly bring them back. You can also give them a huge creature, attack, and get it back straight away. That's worth noting. I think it's hard to make it work, but if it works, it's really good in limited. I don't think it's good enough for Constructed. Fairy Detective, 2 mana 2/2 for 3 mana. What? 3 mana 2/2 for 3 mana. Yeah, those are words. You can collect 6 evidence when you cast it, and if you do, it taps a creature whenever you comes into play. But if you collected evidence, they get a stun counter. 3 mana 2/2 flyer that taps a creature. I'm already happy, and if I get to have the evidence and put a stun counter or something, I'm super happy. Great card for limited. I'm really liking these flyers in blue, like curving the sprite into the cracker. even having a smuggler in the deck. I'm liking this, and these are commons. Like, we're talking about commons here. We will see these in the blue decks. Anyways, Cryptic Code, 3 mana for an equipment. When he enters the battlefield, cloak the top card. So cloaking works like manifesting. You exile the top card of your deck, and it becomes this thing. It becomes a mysterious creature. It becomes a 2/2 with Ward 2. It doesn't matter if it's a land. It doesn't matter if it's a creature. It doesn't matter what it is. It becomes a 2/2. And then if it's a creature, you can pay its mana cost to flip it up. Otherwise, it just stays 2/2. Okay, cool. That's basically how cloaking works. And then you attach this to it. It gets +1/+1 and can't be blocked. That's really powerful for limited. Having an equipment. Oh wait, you can't. Okay. You can't equip this equipment. Really odd equipment. You can return it. So let's say they kill the 2/2 or the 3/2 unblockable. You can return to your hand and make another 3/2, or you can just return it, leave the 2/2 there, and keep making 2/2s. This is really powerful for limited. I don't see it being constructed playable because obviously it's hard to know what you're gonna be cloaking. But really powerful card in limited. A 3/2 unblockable on turn 3, where if it dies, you just get to bounce it and make another one. And if you happen to get lucky, I don't know, let's say you get the Bubble Smuggler, and then for 6 mana you flip it up, because you can, if something's cloaked, you can flip for the normal cost, or you can even do the disguise if you get lucky. So you get a 6/5 unblockable, 7/5 unblockable. So yeah, this card is super powerful. Curious Inquiry, I'm assuming it's like Curious Obsession. So 1 mana or enchanted creature gets +1/+1 whenever this investigates. It doesn't draw a card, it investigates. Oh, that killed me, man. That killed me. I was really excited. Oh man, that killed it, man. I mean, it's still good, but you're like exposing your creature by putting an enchantment, like you're letting your opponent potentially get a 2-for-1, and for your risk you get a clue token. You don't even get a full freaking card. You have to later spend 2 mana to get a clue token. It's probably still fine, but just nowhere near as good as your Curious Obsessions and the Combat Research, I think it was called, right? The other one, Combat I'm really struggling to type. Yeah. Whenever this creature is commissioned to play a draw card, like, that's what I want, you know? But fine, this is still fine. The Deuce, draw card, investigate. If you want to trigger, if you want artifacts, is nice. If you want to trigger like prowess or, you know, things related to instant sorcery, that's solid. I think this is fine for constructed as well. Like, Think Twice was fine. People played a couple copies of it. This is a weird Think Twice in a way. You're drawing 2 cards for 4 mana, which is used to be playable, but you get to play for 2 mana and then use the other 2 mana whenever you have time. So this is fine. This is a fine card. Nothing super special about it, but it's fine. Dramatic Accusation. We're talking about a 3 mana aura. In this battlefield, tap enchanted creature. The creature doesn't untap. And then you can pay double blue to shuffle it into its owner's library. I'm assuming, yeah, only the person that casts this has this ability. So you can basically for 5 mana make them like shuffle away a problematic creature. I mean problematic in the sense, not only like, because if you tap it down, sure, if it's just an attacker it doesn't matter anymore, but if it's something like Crucius or something with a triggered or activated ability, being able to shuffle it, amazing. Really good removal, happy to have it. Good limited removal. Eliminate the Impossible, 2 mana for an instant, investigate. Creatures your opponent control get -2/-2 until end of turn. If none of them are suspected, if any of them are suspected, they're no longer suspected. You make a clue, so that's good for the artifact stuff we saw. And your opponent gets decently smaller for the turn, so you'll probably win combat, be it defensive or aggressively, or even just, you know, save some life. But they would no longer be suspected if they are, but that's fine. I mean, it's really good. It's a good combat trick. It's a really good combat trick. And at its worst, it's a 2 mana investigate and put, you know, get something to collect evidence later. Fine card to have unlimited. Exit Specialist, 2 mana, 2/1, can't be blocked by creature power 3 or greater. Okay, it's a detective, a 2/1 detective that can't be blocked and triggers our other 2 power cards that we saw earlier. When it's turned face up, so it has the disguise mechanic. When it's turned face up, you get to bounce the creature. See, this is exciting. Again, for limited, you play turn 3 as a you disguise on turn 3. You get to bounce something on turn 4, and you get so ahead on tempo. Yeah, this is I'm really excited. Like at its worst, it's a 2/1 that can't be blocked by creature power 3 or greater. Like it's at least trading in combat. It has a relevant creature type, and it has the option to disguise and bounce something. This is a really good limited card. Feyflight, 2 mana aura with flash, and you can give something hexproof, and can give it flying. Wow, this is really solid. Be able to protect your most important creature, like beat the opponent's removal, or just make a creature fly over for damage. Fantastic! It's permanent flying. This is solid. Like I'm liking the cards in blue so far. I might just force blue every draft. For a Rensic Gadgeteer, 3 mana, 2/3 for the Dalkin Artificer Detective. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, investigate. Activate the ability of artifacts control costs 1 less to activate. This effect can't reduce mana, demanding that cost to less than 1 mana. So you're basically making your clues sack for 1 mana. In limited, in constructed. Trying to think here. Obviously the 1 ring, but that's it only costs 1 mana anyway. It costs 0 mana in most formats. Alchemy costs 1 mana, so you wouldn't do anything there. Whenever cast artifact spell, investigate. So obviously we're talking about your Mishra's Bubbles. If you play the Oracle of the Alpha, you obviously have the Moxen rather. I don't know, it competes in the 3 mana slot with Sai as well, I guess, with the ability that we're kind of hoping for here. I think for limited it's solid. I don't know how many good artifacts we're talking about we're going to be casting, but we saw the enchantments, the equipments. So that's nice. Just making your clues cheaper is also nice. If you don't have enough artifact spells in your deck, this probably goes down a lot. But if you get this early, you're probably going to prioritize a few artifacts, because, you know, just getting to draw a few extra cards does seem very, very good and limited. Forensic Researcher, 3 mana, 1/3, untap and attack opponent you control. Then it has the option to tap it and collect 3 evidence to tap target creature you don't control. So if you have enough fodder in your graveyard, it becomes a tapper. Otherwise, it gets to ramp you. Has a relevant creature type. It has a relevant power because it's below 2 power, 2 or below. You can attack with a big creature and untap it to block. Solid card. It's nice to have. Won't be upset if I don't get it in my deck. Won't be super excited to have it in my deck either, but it's nice. Furtive Courier, 3 mana, 3/2, Merfolk Advisor. Can't be blocked as long as you sacrifice an artifact. When you attack, draw a card and discard a card. So it loots when you attack. No, it loots? Yeah, it loots when you attack. So that's nice. 3 mana, 3/2. It's playable in limited. And you get to loot when it attacks, is nice. And if you get enough clues going, you get to make it unblockable and not have to worry. Again, 3 mana, 3/2. I will have it for my curve. Even though you will be fighting with all the disguise cards or the disguise cards in the curve slot for 3, but I like the loot, so solid card. It would be nice if you had 2 power, because then it would work well with the other cards we saw earlier. But anyway, 6 mana, 4/4, Hotshot Investigators, so detective. In this battlefield, return up to 1 target creature to its owner's hand. If you control it, investigate. So 6 mana, bounce your opponent's creature and have a 4/4 in play, or 6 mana, bounce one of your creatures that has an HCB effect or that was locked down by removal, and you get a clue token. I'm happy to have one of these. Obviously, if you have more than one, like 2 maybe, you have no other top end, sure, but then anything more than that, it gets very, very clunky. 1 I'm happy to have, for sure, in my blue decks. Intrude on the Mind, 5 mana. Review the top 5 cards. Oh, I've seen this card. Reveal top 5 cards of the library and separate them into 2 piles. An opponent chooses one of those piles, put the pile into your hand, and the other into your graveyard. So you're probably getting like 2 cards into your hand, one of them being the most powerful card you had out of the 5, or you're getting 3 cards, which doesn't include the most powerful card you had out of the 5. And then on top of that, you get a 0/0. So you either get a 2/2 or 3/3. Like we're talking about normal pile separation, where you're usually going to be a pile of 2 and a pile of 3. There will be cases where there's a pile of 1, where it's your super powerful card, or versus 4 cards. So that's interesting as well. This card is really freaking good. You're drawing cards and you're making a creature. You're drawing anywhere between 1 and 5 cards. Let's be realistic. Drawing anywhere between 1 and 4 cards, and you're making a creature anywhere between 1/1 and 4/4 flyer. This is a first pick. Since it's instant, probably good enough for, I mean, it's like a fact of fiction, so it's, yeah, probably good enough for constructed. Standard. I mean, I guess people will probably try it in like blue-white controls in the other formats, but I'm not sure if it will make the cut. I mean, Explorer has blue-white control, like with the fairies and such, but I'm not sure if you want to be having maybe 1 copy of this in those older formats. Jaded Analyst, so 2 mana, 3/2 human detective defender. Whenever you draw a second card, it can attack. It loses defend and gains vigilance. You can draw your second card with clue tokens, but it's not that easy to be drawing multiple cards a turn, 2 cards a turn, because unless you're making tokens consistently. This is probably good for your slower decks where you just want to have a blocker and trade something. It trades up, so that's nice. Sideboard material, or playable in the slower decks. Living Conundrum, 5 mana for 2/5 elemental hexproof. Hexproof. That's very meaningful most of the time. If you draw a card while your library has no cards in it, you skip the draw step. If you somehow empty your whole deck, it becomes a 10/10 fly-in vigilance. And it has hexproof. Like, remember, this has hexproof, so it's not just dying to your opponent. If you have a deck that can, like we're talking about limited here, if you have a deck that can either mill yourself quite well, because like obviously in constructed you can mill yourself empty very, not easily, but like more easily. But in those formats, you don't want to be spending 5 mana for a 2/5 for majority of the time. So let's say in limited, you somehow can empty your deck by drawing a lot of cards. Yeah, this can finish the game quite well. The hexproof is a very, very good thing. A 2/5 seems to line up very, very well with most things we've seen. We've seen mostly 4-power creatures at the highest. I mean, obviously we saw the Bubble Smuggler that can be bigger, but like we're seeing mostly 4-power creatures. So that works. Yeah, this is solid. I mean, I think even as a 5 mana 2/5, if it's just a 5 mana 2/5, you're not going through your deck well enough, it's probably not something you want in your deck. But if you are a deck that has a lot of ways to draw cards, or you're milling yourself, or putting cards into the graveyard in different ways, yeah, you probably want this in your deck. Limited again. Lost in the Maze, double blue and X, flash for an enchantment with flash. In this battlefield, tap X target creatures, put a stun counter on each of those creatures you don't control. Tap creatures you control have hexproof. Ooh. You can either open the way for your creatures to attack for 2 turns because you put stun counters on their creatures, or you can protect your creatures because you tap them just for the turn because they don't get a stun counter and they get hexproof. And just having your creatures have, like, tap creatures you control have hexproof, that means every time you attack with your creatures, like those removal that say exile attacking, where is it? We saw it earlier. There it is. Exile target attacking creature. Yeah, I'm sorry. All my attacking creatures that tap, they have hexproof, so you can't do that. This is very powerful. If you're playing the blue-white Weenie deck we talked about here, that can be very good, just as a protection, and even open the battlefield. You can just play it for 2 mana. You can literally just play it for 2 mana, X equals 0, just to protect your creatures. So that's its floor, it protects your creatures. And it's like ceiling would be untap, tap all your opponent's creatures, hit for a bunch, they don't get to untap, hit them for a bunch again, probably win the game. Very powerful card, 1Ds in my deck for sure. Mistway Spy, 1/1 for flyer for 1 mana with, which is a detective. That's also nice. It's a merfolk as well. We did make a merfolk video not too long ago. Let's see if this card will be meaningful for the deck. It has the disguise mechanic, and when it's turned face up, whenever creature control deals combat damage to a player, investigate. Why is always investigate? Cool. So the turn it's turned face up, if you're attacking with a bunch of creatures, for every creature that dealt damage, you're gonna investigate. Yeah, that's pretty good. At its worst against a 1 mana 1/1 flyer. If you have relevant detective stuff, you have relevant small power creature stuff, pretty good. Equipment as well also work. I'm worried to say this for Constructed. I don't think there's any deck right now. The Curious Obsession decks of old are no longer. And as we saw, we don't have Curious Obsession. We have the Curious Obsession at home in this set. So yeah, I think for limited it's fine. Especially again if you have the detective meaning stuff, the relevant stuff, the low power relevant stuff, then those can be meaningful. Outcode 4 mana for an instant. This spell can't be countered. Tap up to 2 target creatures and put a stun counter. So you stun 2 creatures and you get to investigate. It's expensive and you don't draw a card. And you only put a 1 stun counter. You're probably gonna end up playing 1 in some of your decks, but you're really not happy about it. Maybe if you're aggro, having this as your top end. If this is a draw card instead of investigate, super powerful. Saying just investigate, very wary of it. Profits, I don't know that word, memory. It's a 2 mana legendary enchantment. When it enters, you draw a card. Already happy. You have no maximum hand size. Don't really care. At the beginning of combat of your turn, if you draw more than 1 card this turn, put X+1/+1 card on target creature control, where X the number of cards you've drawn this turn -1. Bunch of clues in your deck, you're drawing extra cards, make your creature huge. This is, when it comes into play, at its worst, you're drawing a card and putting 1+1/+1 counter on your creature. At its worst. If you have other ways to draw cards in your deck, you're just every turn making your creatures bigger. The maximum hand size, I don't think it will matter that much. But I think that, yeah, this is solid limited card. Projecting Spectre. When Spectre or not detective and this battlefield under control, and whenever the detective you control is turned face up, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. It loots when it comes into play, and if you have other detectives, you get to loot again. Yeah, that's good. That's a good limited card. I'm happy to have it. Solid body as well. 3 mana, 3/2. Happy to have that. Reasonable Doubt. 2 mana. Oh, okay, it's a quench. It's a quench that lets you suspect a creature. Okay, that's nice. Quench was playable in its format. More often than not came off from the sideboard. Quench is a bit but getting the little added effect of suspecting a creature again. Creature get menace, so they're gonna keep hitting you, but at least they can't block. Suspect seems really good in aggressive decks. I don't know if you're playing Reasonable Doubt in aggressive decks. Obviously, if you do a bit of tempo, can be nice. Maybe there's some kind of tempo in future standard with that, but I don't know. I wouldn't be excited to put this in my deck. Reenact the Crime. 1 and triple blue. Exile target non card in a graveyard that was put there this turn. Copy it to make cast a copy without paying its mana cost. Yeah, this is a constructed card. Again, Omniscience that we talked about earlier. If you can somehow get into your graveyard, we're talking about like Hedron Crab, milling it into your graveyard, or any kind of like Faithless Looting effect where you discard a card and then you can exile it and get into play. People talked about Emrakul in like older formats, because you can, obviously this is an instant, so if you discard Emrakul, let's say to hand size for example, you get to cast Emrakul, and since you cast the copy, you'd get the extra turn for Emrakul. Same thing is valid for Ulamog, that one is on Arena. Yeah, this card is really good. This is a constructed card. This is not a limited card. This is a very good constructed card that will make, this card will create decks in older formats like Modern. And if it's creating decks in Modern, I suppose like Historic will probably try something there. And the same will probably be said for Timeless. But although the mana, like if it was triple black and you're doing like Dark Ritual stuff, that'd be very cool. But Faithless Looting is legal in Timeless. I'm pretty sure it is, right? Maybe. If it is, maybe there's something to be had there. but this card will definitely make very, very powerful decks. Stream Course Scholar, 3 mana for 2/2, Flying Vigilance, love it. When he enters the battlefield, draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards unless you discard an insert sorcery card or creature card with flying. So at its worst, it's a 3 mana, 3/2, Flying Vigilance Detective. Relevant keywords in flying, in vigilance. 2 power, we've seen it's relevant. Detective, we've seen it's relevant. Fantastic. And then you even get to draw 2 cards and just discard 2. If you just discard 2, that's fine. Discard 2 lands, whatever. That's pretty freaking good. If you discard an instant or sorcery or another flyer, which you probably don't want to, but maybe I don't know, you discard your reasonable doubt that you put in your deck by accident, you just went up on cards, and this card is great. This card I'm first picking it every time I see it. No questions asked. I was trying to translate it, but I couldn't. Banish the fan fiction. Okay, cool. Love the funny names. The owner of target spell and all permanent puts it on the top or bottom. Okay, cool. It's a weird counter spell. Or it just gets rid of a problematic thing in play. Yeah, that's good. Oh, that's wrong card. That's solid limited card. It's much better than the outcode we saw earlier. This one I'm happy to play. The cost can be a bit restrictive. I'm not sure how many colors we're going to be playing in this format, although there are all the 10 surveil lands are in the format. Are there guild gates? I didn't mean to skip there, but I just want to see if there is God, why is there so many different types of cards? Can I just see the lands, please? There we go, thank you. The surveil lands. There is Public Thought Fair. Cool, there's no guild gates, so you need some rare lands to fix you, maybe. Oh, I mean, we did see the earlier case, the case of the Shattered Pact. So yeah, no, we can play a few colors. So the cost can be a bit restrictive, but if you're playing like a blue-white tempo deck, seems really powerful. Surveillance Monitor, 4 mana, 3/3 detective. When he enters battlefield, you may collect evidence 4. If you collected evidence, evidence 4, super freaking doable. Super freaking doable. Even on turn 4, if you trade like your 2-drop and maybe your 3-drop, just trade it as well, or you cast an instant or whatever. And then you get 4 power between 2 bodies, one of that power being flying, and it's an artifact which is relevant, and this guy's a detector which is relevant. Really powerful card, want to have a bunch in my deck. Obviously not a bunch because it's 4 mana, but still. Unauthorized Exit, return target non-permanent to its owner's hand, Surveyor 1. Wasn't there a card that's exactly like that? Yeah, I can't remember the name of the card, but there was a card with the exact same key words, exactly like that. Yeah, that's solid rip tempo. You're bouncing something, opening the way, and you get to survey. If you bounce a token, that's fantastic. You can bounce your own stuff if you need be as well. So yeah, pretty good card. I'm gonna take a little breather. Cool, sorry, that was a quick cut there. I just needed a bit of air and a bit of water. Let's continue. We're now on to black cards. Agency Coroner, 5 mana, 3/6, Ogre Cleric. Ugh. Sacrifice another creature, draw a card. Sacrifice a creature was suspected, draw 2 cards instead. We saw a couple of suspect cards already. I'm assuming black will play a lot of suspect. So if you can suspect a lot of your creatures and sack them. I mean, 5 mana, 3/6 is a good roadblock. Very hard to attack past a 3/6. Having this card of ability, we've seen it in the past. It's very good in limited because you can just either be sacking blockers. You block with something that was obviously gonna die and get to draw it, or something your opponent tried to kill, or your opponent is forced to kill this guy instead of your best creature. So that's nice. Or if you can get enough. I'm seeing something here with suspect already. We'll have to see how relevant the suspect is, but I do like a 5 mana 3/6 with a relevant activated ability. I'll leave it at that. 3 mana 3/3 Vampire Rogue. When he enters battlefield tapped, he has Disguise, and whenever it's turn faced up, for a lot of mana, your opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. 3 mana 3/3, that's okay. Like 3 mana 3/3 it's playable. Sometimes you play as a ward, but it's very expensive to flip it up. It's not a lightning helix, but kind of a lightning helix idea. Your opponent loses 3, you gain 3. I don't know if it's worth a 9 mana investment, but at its worst, a 3 mana 3/3. I'm okay with that. This is very playable. Bob Savitz, I saw this card on Twitter as well. 4 mana for 1/1 with Indestructible. He enters the battlefield suspected, so he can't block. You have a 1/1 menace can't block creature with Indestructible. Whenever you do combat damage to a player, you draw a card and lose a life. Whenever it's dealt damage, target opponent loses that much life. So you kind of want to be doing dumb stuff with this. This is kind of the stuffy doll, right? Is it stuffy doll that I'm thinking of? Whenever it's dealt damage, it deals that much damage to the chosen player. So you kind of want to find ways to deal damage to it. So you were talking about your, your Brotherhood's End. We're talking about your extinction event. So nope, that's not the one. Star of Extinction is the one I'm thinking of. Basically, deal 20 damage to it. It's without doing any damage. Target opponent loses that much life. This kind of effects, kind of things you want. And since it's suspected, like, you're not able to just block with it and makes your opponent's attacks uncomfortable. But I mean, it's worse if your opponent wants to stop you from drawing cards. They're forced to block with 2 creatures because it has menace, since it's suspected, and you'll be doing a lot of damage to them, so they can't easily block it either. I don't know. I'll probably have to see it in play actually, but I think I don't know how many ways there will be to unsuspect your creatures, because that would be nice if you can unsuspect and have it as a blocker. But I guess, attack on turn 5 with a 1/1 that if your opponent doesn't block, you just get to draw a card. It's not that broken. It's fine. It's fine. If there's enough ways to remove suspect from creatures, that would be nice. Basilica Stalker, 6 mana, 3/4 flyer. 6 mana for 3/4 flyer, I'm not that excited. If it was a 4/3 flyer, I would be more excited. Whenever you smash to a player, you gain 1 life. Okay, that's solid. And Surveil 1, and he has a disguise for 5. Okay, cool. I'm happy with this card. 3 mana 2/2 Vor 2 that you flip for 5, and it's a 3/4 flyer that's gonna gain you life and set up your next draws or feed your evidence. Good card. Case of the Gorgon's Kiss. When he enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 target creature that was dealt damage this turn. So you're kind of like suicide attacking your creatures, and then you get to destroy one of their creatures, so that's nice. To solve 3 or more creatures or put into graveyards from anywhere. So your creature that attacked and died, and then the creature that you killed, so that's 2. And then you need to find a 3rd creature if you want to solve it at the turn you play it. And if you solve it, it becomes a 4/4 Death Touch lifelink. I'm trying to think of the cards we've seen, how likely we are to solve it. If you obviously have a bunch of creatures and you're trading your board, yeah, that's nice. And then you get to destroy an extra creature of theirs because you suicidal attack, you traded a creature, and you chump attacked. And then you get to destroy the creature and then get a 4/4 Death Touch lifelink. Yeah, I think this is good. Maybe it will be more difficult in practice than in theory to solve it, but it's really good if you do solve it. Case of the Stash Skeleton. You create 2/1 Black Skeleton. It's a 2 mana case that creates a 2/1 Black Skeleton that has menace and can't block. You control no suspected skeletons, so you either have to unsuspect it or have it die somehow. And if it's solved, you can pay 2 mana to sacrifice and search the right for a card and put it to your hand. So you get a Demonic Tutor. Sack another creature. If the creature was suspected, draw 2 cards. We're already seeing one way to solve it. If you're putting enough pressure into your opponent, they will be forced to eventually block this. They eventually block this. You no longer control a suspected skeleton. You get to Demonic Tutor for your best card in the deck, or for the moment. Yeah, this is really good. Trying to think. If you're playing constructed, like standard mono black aggro or some kind of like black aggro deck, 2 mana to 1 menace, it's nothing to scoff at. Your opponent won't want to kill it at first because otherwise you're gonna get this Demonic Tutor, so you get to hit for a bit. Eventually they'll be forced to kill it, or you're gonna be chump attacking and they will either take the damage or kill it by blocking it, and then you get to Demonic Tutor. Yeah, so this might even be constructed playable. for the lower powered formats. Obviously, I don't see timeless or things like that. Now that I say timeless, though, we have Beseech the Mirror. Hear me out. Beseech the Mirror. Is that how you spell it? Of course not. Beseech. I don't know how to spell it. Okay. Yeah, you. Come here. Okay, I put the double E in the wrong place. Right, hear me out. Bargain, you sacrifice the skeleton and you put something good into play, right? And then the end of turn it has solved, and the next turn you can demonic tutor. You hear me out? This is not bad, right? I will make a funny tweet later with these two guys. Cool. I think that could be something in constructed. I don't know if it's wishful thinking, but I think that could be something there. Cerebral Confiscation, 3 mana, choose one. Target opponent, so it's a Mind Rot, or you get to do a Thoughtseize. You're never happy with a 3 mana Thoughtseize unless your opponent has really powerful cards. This is obviously a limited card, so you're only doing this mode if you know your opponent has really powerful cards and you want to take it early, or you're going to use a Mind. Sideboard card. Sideboard, nothing else. Not going to waste a lot of time on it. Clandestine Meddler. 3 mana, 3/2 Vampire Rogue. When he enters the battlefield, suspect up to one other type. Okay, you may suspect a creature you control. Whenever one or more suspect creature you control attack you, survey once. So you get to play whatever 2-drop suspected. So they can't block your 2-drop now because it has Menace. And you get to surveil when they attack. Yeah, this is really good. This is a really aggro card because it's going to help you set up your collect evidence. It's going to help you get damage through because your creature has Menace. And yeah, just set up your next draw. This is a really good card. Really excited for it. Deadly Cover Up, 3 and double black. Whenever it's a sorcery, whenever you cast it, you may collect evidence 6. Destroy all creatures. So we're talking about a 5 mana Wrath. If evidence was collected, exile a card from opponent's graveyard, then search its owner's graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with their name and exile them. That player shuffles. Then draws a card for each card exiled this way from their hand. So you get to surgical extraction if you collected evidence. One thing that I saw on Twitter about this card is that it doesn't say select a non-land, non-basic land card. So if they have for some reason like a mountain in their graveyard, you can exile the mountain and then just remove all the mountains from the deck. So if for some reason like you're playing against a monocolor deck that somehow got a 1 basic land in the graveyard and you collect evidence, you can remove all those lands from that deck. Obviously you're only letting them have spells, but you know, let's say we're stone raining them. Oh no, your mountain's in your graveyard. Oh no, your mountain is gonna be exiled, and every single mountain in your deck. I don't know, I think that could be interesting, but a 5 mana Wrath, you're always excited. The ability itself, the extra ability, if you're playing like Esper Control, maybe. I'm seeing most control decks are sticking to blue-white lately, so I don't know if it will be playable. Obviously we're talking about like standards and the sort. But it's a powerful ability. There's something stupid you can do here, but I like it. I mean, Wraths, I'm never upset about Wraths, in Limited especially. Extract a Confession, 2 mana, sorcery, each opponent sacrifices a creature. If you pay the collect evidence 6, instead each opponent sacrifices a creature with the greatest power amongst. Yep, good limited removal. Early, you're gonna cast it without collect evidence because they only have 1 creature anyway. And later you'll be able to get the biggest creature. So yeah, this is really good. It scales up as the game goes on. That's all you want from your removal. Festered Leech, a 1 mana 1/1 zombie leech. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may mill 2 cards, so you're feeding the collect evidence that we talked about earlier. And you can even pump it for, you can attack as a 3/3, you can only activate once. Yeah, this is fine. I mean, obviously, in Limited, if you're playing this card, you want to have synergy with your graveyard or with milling and things like that. Constructed, huh? I heard like zombie decks that need other 1-drops that can attack well. Don't know if this is what you want. I don't think you will make waves, but maybe you'll find a little spot somewhere. Nah, I don't think it's good enough for constructed, honestly. maybe the future standard when the sets rotate out and it's not this big of a standard where I don't think you'll be able to do anything just yet. Anyways, next we have Homicide Investigator, 2 mana, 2/2 human detective, like the power, like the creature type. Whenever one on token creatures you control die, investigate. Why is it always why just draw a card? Just let me draw. Stop making it investigate. I mean, it's really good. It's a 2 mana 2/2. You're happy with that. You're okay with that. And then whenever one or more, like if you're trading creatures in combat, you just get clues, which later you can sack. Really good limited card. Probably good enough for standard. I don't see it going further than that. It also triggers when it dies itself, so that's nice. It's a shame that it doesn't trigger for each creature. Only triggers once each turn. Only triggers on creatures you control. I don't know. It could be better. Hunted Bone Brute, 3 mana 6/2 with menace. When he enters battlefield, the opponent creates 2/1/1 white dogs. When he enters, okay, cool. That's worth noting. Cool. If it flips, they don't get any tokens. It's really cute though. It's really freaking cute. When it dies, each opponent loses 3 life. You can give your opponent, like if you're playing as a 3 mana 6/2, you're giving your opponent 2/1/1s that would be able to block it straight away. So that's not great. You probably want to be flipping it. So yeah, I mean, if you're probably, yeah, if you put this in your deck, you're thinking this is a turn 3 2/2, turn 4 2 more mana, and then I will get to deal them. I'll get to have a 6/2 that attacks very well without giving them creatures, and in case it dies, you will maybe push a bit more damage. You only play as a 3 mana. You wouldn't even. I don't think you would ever play as a 6/2, unless you have like the what's it called? The throw that we saw earlier. Yeah, so they don't trigger, so you just play this throw and then you follow it up with this guy, so you just have a 6/2 without any drawbacks. Interesting. But yeah, again, limited, you're looking at the disguise, and I don't think this is good enough for constructed. Cool, Dominion Scheming. It's a 4 mana flash enchantment. When he enters battlefield, put a counterfeit counter on each creature control. Whenever a creature control with a counter and it dies, exactly turn up to 1 type. You can kind of like not upgrade your creatures. I guess you have a lot of creatures in your graveyard and you have a lot of creatures in play, and then now if they were to trade, you're bringing creatures back. Yeah, that can be really powerful. That can be really, really powerful. Limited card, I would argue. Because a lot of removal nowadays is exile anyway, so you don't have a lot of creatures in your graveyard in most constructed formats, I feel like. Even then, you don't want to play for 4 mana, do nothing when it comes into play enchantment, where it needs creatures. You need creatures in play for it to be meaningful. You need creatures in play, you need creatures in graveyard for it to be meaningful. So I don't think that's good enough for constructed, but for limited it can be very powerful. Again, for these, we need the extra trade on your stuff, and then you can maybe bring other stuff back. Yeah, I like it. I think you kind of need a lot of creatures in your deck, and yeah, maybe sideboard if you're playing as a control deck as well. Anyways, it doesn't add up. 3 and double black for instant. Return that creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield suspected. So it's like we had the Defossilize in Ixalan, which you brought a creature back and explore twice, and then this one you bring it back and it just gains menace and can't block. I don't know. I've never been a big fan of these kind of abilities, and so far we haven't seen a lot of ways to easily get creatures into our graveyard. Because like in Ixalan we have Explore, and we have a bunch of ways to mill. So far we saw the zombie that mills. Otherwise we just have to naturally get creatures in the graveyard. I don't think this would be very good in this format, unfortunately. That's a lead pipe. So another one of the 1 mana equipments that equips for 2 mana, +2/+0 power, so that's very good. And whenever the creature dies, the opponent's going to lose 1 life. So if they're trading with the creature, they're going to be losing a life. And that's worse, you can sack it to draw a card. I'm in love with all the 1 mana equipments, I'm not going to lie. Leering Onlooker. So it's a 1/3 vampire for 2 mana, and then for 4 mana, you can exile it from a graveyard to create 2/1/1 black bats with flying. Yeah, this is really good. A 1/3 flyer. It's nothing to write home about, but getting the extra value from the graveyard in the late game, or if you somehow, like, again, if we're milling, because we saw this card that wants to mill or something, or if you're discarding it, you just get extra value. Yeah, very good limited card. Long Goodbye, 3 mana. This spell can't be countered. Destroy that creature, planeswalker with mana value 3 or less. This is obviously good removal, solid removal in limited, but it's definitely going to be very, very good in constructed. This kills an Oko and cannot be countered. It kills the 3 mana Teferi, your Deathrite Shamans. I'm trying to think of like cards that we're playing against. They have on control decks. Snapcaster Mage. You can Snapcaster this back as well. But I mean, just not this spell can't be countered on a 2 mana removal spell, and it hits planeswalkers. This is gonna be very good in constructed. Reconstruction. 4 mana in sorcery. This spell costs 2 less to cast if a creature was put into the graveyard from anywhere. So you're paying 2 mana to return 2 creatures because you just attacked, you traded, and then you return the creature that you traded, and you bring another creature back. Really good card. I want this card in all my black decks. 4 mana bring 2 creatures back is already fine, but 2 mana bring 2 creatures back is really, really powerful. Massacre Girl, non-killer. 4 mana for a 4/4 legendary human assassin with menace. Creatures you control have Wither. They deal damage to creatures in the form -1. That's really powerful. Your creatures are going to be a menace. They won't have menace, but they're going to be a menace in combat. Whenever a creature opponent control dies, if its toughness was less than 1, draw a card. So if your opponent's creature dies because it's blocking and it got the Wither, the -1/-1 from because of your creatures have Wither, you're going to be drawing cards. And it will trigger for each. This card is so good. This is a top end for your aggressive decks. This is just broken in limited. Yeah, this is insane. I love this card. I want to marry her. Murder, destroy target creature. I mean, it literally is just murder. Makes sense in the murder mystery set. I mean, very good removal. I would have 7 murders in my limited decks if I could. Night Drinker Moroi, 4 mana, 4/2 flyer. When he enters, your opponent loses 2 life. If you disguise it and flip it, your opponents do not lose life. So this is probably just a card. Yeah, flyer, 4/2 flyer for 4. You can obviously play on turn 3 if you need to, and then flip it for double black. But then they are not losing the 3 life. I don't know how meaningful that will be, but it's just a very good card. I'm happy to have that in my deck. Let me play Murders and Moroi. That's literally 10 murders, 13 Morois. Never losing a draft in my life. That's probably a lie. Outrageous Robbery. 2 black and X instant. Target opponent exiles the top X card of the library face down. You may look at those and look at it and play those cards for as long as they remain exiled. If you cast a spell this way, instant is really nice because you can end step to steal a bunch of cards. So we're talking like about like a weird villainous wealth kind of effect, but you don't get to cast them for free. And then during your turn, you get to play the lands if you got lands from them, or you get to cast whatever they have. I don't think you would play this in constructed, because in decks that would want this in constructed would be like the control decks, but at that point you're probably playing some kind of Sphinx Revelation effect where you just draw a bunch of cards on the end step, because your cards will be better against your opponent's deck than their own cards. In limited, I'm obviously happy to have this. If you have a bunch of mana, you can even mill your opponent out eventually if it gets very late game, or you're just drawing a bunch of cards. Obviously you won't be able to cast them straight away, but yeah, this is in limited. It's very, very good. Persuasive Interrogators. 6 mana for 5/6 Gorgon Detective. When it enters the battlefield, investigate. So 5/6. 6 mana for 5/6 creates a clue token. That's good. Whenever you sack a clue token, target opponent gets 2 poison counters. Wow. Okay, this can just be a way of winning. Like, if this survives and you have a couple clues, you're dealing a lot of poison. I don't think there's probably other ways to give poison tokens counters in this set, but this by itself, you need to sack 5 clues with it in play. Doesn't sound that difficult. We've seen a lot of clues already. We've seen the equipments that you're using, and they are clues. So this is very powerful. Obviously 5/6. I mean, it's a good body. It dies to murder, but it dodges a lot of removal that we're seeing. Blue removal is not that good against it. Yeah, this is probably a valid win con in limited. Polygraph Orb, 5 mana for an artifact. When it enters, look at the top 4 cards of a library, put 2 in your hand. You get to Bitter Revelation, so that's nice, but it's 5 mana. 5 mana, sorcery speed, but then for 2 more mana and tapping it and collecting 3 evidence, each opponent loses 3 life unless they discard a card as a first creature. I don't think. I mean, this needs the format to be slow for it to work, because it comes in like you're taking your turn 5 off to draw 2 cards and lose 2 life. You're not adding anything relevant to the board. I don't like that. And then you need to add another 2 mana, collect 3 evidence, and then you give the opponent a choice to discard a card, sacrifice a creature, or lose 3 life. You're giving... this card is not good. I refuse to believe this card is good. Unless you're playing like a control deck in limited, this card is not good. Maybe sealed, maybe there, but I'm not excited. Not excited at all. It's a trap. Presume that 2 mana for an instant, target creature gains +2/+0 and gains whenever this creature dies. Okay, cool. Is that one of these? Oh, it's suspected. That's nice. We've seen a lot of these effects lately for the last few years, actually, and they're nice. They're obviously nice. Just be able to trade your creature with an ETB effect and have it come back straight away. Obviously, suspecting it can be good and bad. If you're aggressive, you're having a creature of menace to put pressure. Otherwise, you kind of, if it's just an ETB effect, doesn't matter. They won't be able to block. Yeah, you're happy to have a couple, maybe 1 or 2 in your deck. Repeated Offender, 2 mana for a Human Assassin 2/1. If Repeated Offender is suspected, put a +1/+1 counter on it, otherwise suspected. So you get to, it's a 2/1 for 2, so you're playing that card in your deck. It has a relevant power, 2 powers relevant, we've seen. For 3 mana, you can give it Menace. And then if you would, and then from then onwards, if you pay 3 mana, you keep making it bigger, so it's like a menacing. Yeah, I'm happy to have this as my 2-drop, honestly. Very, very happy to have this as my 2-drop. Rot Farm Moripede, 4 mana for 3/4. Whenever one or more creature card leave your graveyard, it gets +1/+0 against Menace and Lifelink at turn of turn. This is a solid payoff to have in your deck if you're collecting a lot of evidence. Gaining Menace Lifelink is going to gain you a lot of life and buy you a lot of time. So like if you're playing this and this together, maybe then. So if you have like 3-4 evidence cards, this card gets really good. 3-4 for 4 is nothing to scoff at. Still fine. But the more evidence card in your deck, or evidence collecting cards in your deck, the better this card gets. So yeah, exciting. Slice from the Shadow, black and X for a instant. Target creature get -X, and it can't be countered. Very good removal. Probably not good enough for constructed, but very good removal for limited. Another card in Japanese. 2 leeches for the price of 1. At the beginning, so it's a 2/4 mana. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature power 2 or less gets +1/+1 against Death Touch. Yeah, another card for the 2 Toughness Tribe, where you're just gonna make it a very annoying creature for your opponents. It's probably gonna be like a 3-power creature attacking with Death Touch. If it happens to have any other relevant keywords, yeah, your opponent's gonna have a bad time. It can even make itself a 3/5 Death Touch, because it also has 2 power. Snarling Gorehound, Menace 1/1 dog for 1 mana. Whenever another creature power 2 or less in this battlefield, okay, it's the DRC, the Dragon Rage Channeler, but without the extra text. And whenever, so it's a 1/1 with Menace. That's whatever. When a small creature enters the battlefield, you get to surveil 1. That's solid if you have some evidence stuff in your deck, or if you just kind of wanna, if you have a lot of things that are gonna trigger it, I guess you can kind of set yourself up. If you have equipments for it, that's quite nice, because Menace is relevant. If you put like a pipe, if you have your dog just biting onto a pipe and just hitting for 3, I guess that's pretty good. Yeah, this I think in Arena best of 1 is gonna be very, very good. Just have a bunch of rabid dogs and pipes, and you're gonna have a good time. So Innervation, 3 and a black for a flash enchantment. When you enter the battlefield, you kill a creature, basically. Target creature get +4/-4. Whenever more creature leave your graveyard, each opponent loses 1 life, you gain 1 life. I'm happy for a 4 mana removal, and that sticks around and might have relevant text. Very solid removal. Toxin analysis. Target creature gains death touch and lifelink turn of turn. Investigate. I mean, it makes any of your creatures trade because it gives death touch. You're gonna give you lifelink, which can win a race for you. Doesn't draw a card, doesn't give extra power. That's the one thing, the two things I don't like about it. Like investigate, sure, I will have to invest some mana, but not giving like a +1/+1 to make sure I win the combat is kind of annoying. But lifelink and death touch, relevant keyword, so we'll keep an eye on it. On the city, eliminate a 5 mana for 3/3 Gorgon. When he enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice an artifact or creature. When you do, exile target creature. That's very good. You will sacrifice a creature that is not relevant to the board anymore, or if you have extra clue tokens, you can exile those. If you have anything that's suspected and you're on the back foot, just like you exile target creature opponent control. That's really powerful. You can buy it back with the, what is it called? I forget the card's name. The reconstruction. So yeah, this card is really good. It's not quite Chupacabra level of good, but it's really, really good. Ravenous Chupacabra, that is. Unscrum Agent. 2 mana for 1/1. When he enters the battlefield, target opponent exile cards from that. Yeah, we've seen this card in the current set. I've played quite a few of them and I was happy with it. And has relevant power and it's a detective. So yeah, this is a good 2-drop. Vein Ripper. Triple black and 3 more for 6/5 flyer. Very, very strong. Ward, sacrifice a creature. So if your opponent wants to kill it, they're gonna lose. They use the removal spell and lose a creature in the very least. And whenever a creature dies, oh wow. So if they're sacrificing a creature and killing the Ripper, they're gonna lose 4 life and you gain 4 life. This is busted. So busted. I think it's too expensive for constructed, but it's very busted and limited. Holy crap. Let's get into the red cards. Wow, we're only 111 cards in. Jesus Christ, how long have we been going on for? A long time. Ends Reg Rampage. 3 and 2 red for sorcery. Destroy artifacts you don't control, then exile the top X card of your library, where X is the number of artifacts that were put into graveyards from the battlefield this turn. You may put a creature card exile this way onto the battlefield, it gains haste, return it to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. And your opponent needs to have artifacts for this to matter. And then you need to hit on those X cards, you need to hit a creature, and you get to get 1 hit with that creature. This seems Commander, honestly, or maybe sideboard if there's like a artifact deck you just kind of want to destroy everything, because destroy artifacts is a very powerful ability. So next we have Bo Raklan Basha, 6 mana, 3/2, double strike and trample. So this is kind of card you want to be disguising and flipping, and even then it's kind of double strike and trample is quite nice. But 3/2 only though, only 3 power. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this card. I'm not excited at first glance. Case of the Burning Mask. When he enters the battlefield, it deals 3 damage to target creature and opponent. So 3 mana removal, unlimited. To solve 3 or more sources you control, dealt damage this turn. Creatures attacking, they count as different sources. So if you have an aggressive deck, you can very easily solve this. Sacrifice this case. Exile the top 3 cards of your library, choose 1. I mean, I'm obviously playing this in limited because it kills a creature. It can't go face, so that already says I don't want to play it in constructed. Doesn't seem too difficult to solve. The solving is not that exciting, so I'm still playing as a removal, and if I get to solve it, nice, I get an extra card. Case of the Crimson Pulse. Whenever this card enters the battlefield, discard a card and draw 2 cards. So 3 mana, discard, draw 2. If you to solve it, you have no cards in hand. You just drew 2 cards, so obviously that becomes a bit more difficult. At the beginning of your upkeep, discard your hand and draw 2 cards. So if you're playing a very cheap deck, like remember we did a video with Explorer best of 1 of just literally 1-drops. If you have like a cheap burn deck or like aggressive deck, you're just playing everything out every turn. You just get to draw 3 cards every turn. You discard your hand. If you have any left over, like you drew too many lands, just discard them. It doesn't seem very difficult to solve, and it can be very, very powerful ability. Yeah, I like this. I like this for constructed for sure. Even for limited as well. I don't think it's that difficult to empty your hand. And drawing 3 cards a turn is just gonna win you the game. Yeah, this card is very good. Very excited. I will definitely do some decks with it for... Probably try to do it in Timeless, but probably for Standard or Explorer, Alchemy. Ooh, Alchemy. I definitely want this in Alchemy. Yes. Caught Red-Handed. 5 mana for a spell that can't be countered. Instant speed. Oh, it's an instant speed that you get to steal opponent's creature. Huh. It's weird because instant speed is not that relevant for your active trees and effects, because you usually want to do it to attack with the creature, and especially like if it was an instant speed threaten effect let you block, that would be great, but this suspects the creature, so the creature won't even be able to block. So I'm not excited about this. I mean, I guess you get to steal it and attack, and then they won't be able to use it to block in the future combats, but the chase is on. Target creature gets +3/+4 against first strike. Investigate. 3 mana combat tricks. I'm not excited. Yeah, investigate. I'm gonna have to spend 5 mana in total to get this ability in a card. Yeah, I'm not excited about that. Concealed weapon. Equip a creature gets +3/+0. It's a 2 mana equipment, this one. Equip for 2, so that's not expensive. Oh, and you can play as a creature. That's cool. So you can play as a creature, and then you can flip it into an equipment and attach it straight away. I do like that. I do like that because I mean, if you don't have the creature, if you don't have any creatures to equip it, so you just play it as a creature instead, and then later on you can obviously surprise someone with equipping it and getting +3/+0. Yeah, solid card, solid limited card. Connecting the dots. 2 mana for an enchantment. Whenever creature control attacks, exile the top card of your library face down. Discard your hand and sacrifice it. Okay, so it's a Bowmat Courier effect, but it's not attached to a creature, so it's safer. Whenever creature control attacks, exile the top card of your library face down. I'm assuming, maybe I'm reading this wrong, this will trigger for each creature as well. I really like this. I don't think you'll be good enough for older formats, but I think like for standard it can be really good. For your aggressive red decks, you're attacking for much. If you're playing tokens as well, I like this. I think for limited as well, it's still fine. Obviously, it doesn't do anything when it comes into play, which is worth noting. But if you're like aggressive deck, you attack and you just design a bunch of cards, and then later on you just draw a bunch. So yeah, I like that. Convenient target. I'm just sorry, I got a bit caught there. Put all these cards with connecting the dots into their owner's hand. I'm just confused why you needed to specify that. I guess if you steal the connecting dots, you can't get your opponent's card, but you can't really exile an opponent's card with connecting dots. Was my confusion there, but that's fine. Convenient target. 1 mana for an aura. The enchanted creature becomes suspected. Ooh, return from the graveyard to your hand. Put this on my Mad Dog. Make it a 2/2 with menace. Oh, it has already had menace. And then my Mad Dog dies. That's fine. I bring this back to my hand. I want this for limited. I don't know if it's good. I don't think it's good enough for constructed, but I definitely want it for limited. Being able to rebuy cards is really, really good. Cornered Crook. So is it 5/4 for 5? When he enters battlefield, make sacrifice an artifact. When you do, ooh, so you can sack like a clue or something or an equipment and either dome your opponent for 3 or kill one of the creatures. Yeah, love it, love it, love it, love it. 5 mana, 5/4, solid power, good top end for limited. Crime Novelist, 3 mana, 1/3. Whenever you sacrifice an artifact, put a +1/+1 count on it and add mana. People were trying to do broken stuff with it on Twitter, and I didn't fully understand it. But there's definitely something you can do here. If you have ways, like first thing comes to mind is like Underworld Breach, because you're making mana to recast the cards, like Mistress Bauble if you're playing like 0 mana artifacts. Because this is, oh no, whenever you sacrifice, you can't sack it itself. Obviously, Mistress Bauble would sack. There's definitely, I think for limited, it's probably not that good. For constructed, there's probably broken things you can be done, but you need to be smarter than I am to do it. Demand Answers, 2 mana, sacrifice an artifact or discard a card. Okay, cool. It's your usual Tormenting Voice, but at this time you get to sacrifice an artifact, which can be again equipments or clues or other artifacts you see. Yeah, you usually play 1 or 2 of these in your deck, usually 1 in your limited decks. Japanese card. Expedite Expedited Inheritance. Whenever creatures dealt damage, this controller may exile that many cards from the top of the library. They may play those cards until the end of the next turn. I don't like it that it works both ways. But again, this you can use this to mill your opponent. Oh, is it a May? Its controller may exile. No, cool. It's a May, so that's not good. Yeah, I don't like this. If you're playing against a red removal base deck and you're a creature deck, you can bring this from the board. But even then, it's kind of like you're also killing their creatures if you're not trading in combat. I don't know. I don't like that it works both ways. Not excited. Expose the Culprit. 2-mana instant that you get to choose one or both. Love choosing both. Turn target face down creature face up, so you can turn one of your own creatures earlier, or you can force your opponent to turn their creature. Exile number face up creatures you control with disguise in a face down pile. Shuffle the pile and cloak them. Ooh, okay, this is really good for your. If you have a bunch of disguised creatures, let's say the. It has to be creatures, right? Yeah, creatures with disguise. So if you have, for example, that card is not a good example. We're struggling to find one that enters the battlefield. That's not a good example either. Come on, give me good examples, guys. Where are the flip things that matter? Cool, this guy, you can turn it back down, then eventually turn it back up to deal the damage again. This guy as well, you get the ability again. So yeah, you're kind of reflipping your cards. That's really powerful. I love cards that say one or both, and both abilities are meaningful enough. Even if you're just flipping one of your cards earlier for cheaper, that's nice. And if you get to do the backside, yeah, you can't do both for the same creature, but yeah, super powerful. I like it. Felonious Rage. Target creature control gets +2/+0 and haste. If it dies. When the creature dies this turn, create a 2/2 token. Cool, you can use it to attack with a creature that otherwise wouldn't be able to attack this turn and deal damage. You can use it in combat to trade and get a 2/2. Yeah, I like it. Powerful, solid card. Solid. Frantic Scapegoat. Haste. Enters battlefield suspected. So it's a 1/1 with menace. Whenever one or more other creatures in the battlefield in control, if Frantic Scapegoat is suspected, you may suspect one of the other creatures. If you do... Cool, you can unsuspect it. It's a 1/1 with haste, that's nice. With menace as well. You can give menace to other creatures when they come into play. So you play this on turn 1, then on turn 2 you play the Fugitive Codebreaker. And now, not only is it a 2/1 prowess haste, it's a 2/1 prowess haste with menace. So yeah, it can be relevant, but I don't know. I think this maybe in constructed can do something. I'll be surprised if a 1-mana 1/1 does something in limited with just haste. So 2-mana 2/1 prowess haste, love that. When it's turn face up, discard your hand and draw 3 cards. Its cost is the cost is reduced by 1 for each instant sorcery card in your graveyard. Really good in limited. That That goes without saying. A 2-mana 2/1 prowess haste is already good enough with the disguise. Even if you're paying 6, you'll be fine, because late game your hand is gonna be empty. But in constructed, I guess probably again the morph and manifest, cloak, disguise, you kind of want to do this in slower format. So we're talking about standard here. Maybe there's a world there. You can do this in Phoenix, and they will probably have, like, if you play Explorer, but then you're running Treasure Cruise, so you won't get the cost reduced all that often. So yeah, I think this is a solid card. I don't know, I don't think it will make waves, but I do like it. Do love the art as well. Galvanize, 2-mana for an instant that deals 3 damage to your creature. Happy for that. If you happen to have drawn 2 cards this turn or more, it deals 5 damage. So yeah, it's a good removal that can be a fantastic removal. Happy with that. Gearbane Orangutan. 3-mana 2/2 reach. When it enters the battlefield, you can destroy an artifact, or you can sacrifice and make it a 4/4. Seems really good. It does lose value if you don't have artifacts in your deck, because your opponent won't always have an artifact, And if you're playing as a 3 mana 2/2 reach, you're not happy. So it might be more sideboard than main decking limited, unless you have a lot of artifacts or a decent amount of artifacts to sack. Goblin Mask Maker. 1 mana 1/2. When he attacks, face down spells you cast this turn cost 1 less. So you can play this on turn 1, attack, and then play a Mysterious Creature on turn 2. If you have enough Mysterious Creature, enough Disguise, maybe, but not too excited. Harry Jonesmith, 4 mana for 2/3 human. Beginning of combat in your turn, create. You have to sack it. You create a 1/1, top the token with flying, gain 6 days of turn, sacrifice the beginning of your next end step. I mean, you get to attack with a 1/1 flyer the turn it comes into play. You're making a 1/1 every turn, but obviously you're sacking them. If you have ways to use them, like the orangutan, we've definitely seen other ways earlier. I mean, you're triggering the novelist. There's other ways to sack artifacts we saw earlier, but I can't find them now. Obviously, we saw the... Where is it? Where is the Chupacabra-esque? Yeah, this guy. You can sack it to it, because it only sacks the creature at the end step. So you get your second main phase to use the 1/1 for fodder. So yeah, solid card, solid card. Incinerate of the Guilty. 6 mana, 6/6 flying trampled dragon. I mean, some mythic dragons obviously going to be good in limited. Deals combat damage to a player. You may collect evidence X. So evidence 6, for example. When you do incinerate, deals X damage to each creature in each planeswalker. Wow. Yeah, this card is broken in limited. Not going to be good enough for construct, I don't think. Because 6 mana, 6/6 without haste. Bit slow, but limited, this card is broken. Whenever 2 mana, 2/1, that's solid. Whenever it's dealt 3 or more damage, investigate. So if you're like trading with a 3/2, you get to investigate. That's fine. Underwhelming card, to be honest. We've seen better 2-drops. A knife. As long as your turn equip you get a +1 in first strike. Yeah, I'm excited about first strike. This is a solid equipment. It doesn't get the 2 power buff that the other equipments do. The 1 mana equipments. But just having first strike just make your creatures so difficult to block is amazing. Love this equipment. Another Crankle. 3 mana 3/3 with haste. Sacrifice an artifact, put a count on each goblin you control. I have a Goblin Brawl deck. You can probably make goblins in historic and maybe timeless, but I don't know how good it would be. And I don't know how many artifacts they would have, so maybe that's not that relevant. Whenever artifacts put into the graveyard from the battlefield, you may pay red. If you do, create a 1/1 goblin creature. It gains haste at the end of turn. 3 mana 3/3 with haste. You're happy with that? I don't know how many artifacts you're sacking. Obviously, talking limited now. Clues. Nice. Talking constructed, I don't know what goblin deck is going to have a lot of artifacts. So I think this is a limited card, and it's a solid limited card at that. Crankle's Buzz Crusher. So it's a 4 mana 4/4 Insectopter. Oh, I saw a lot of discussion about this earlier today. It's a 4/4 flying with trample. You're already happy. When he enters battlefield, for each player, destroy up to 1 non-basic land that players controls. And then if you do, they get to search for land and put on the battlefield tapped. Limited, that doesn't really matter. You might get the dual land and kind of annoy the mana base. In constructed, people were complaining about how not intuitive this works, because you destroy up to 1 non-basic land, so you don't target a land. So this dodges hexproof. But I don't know, it just seems a bit weird, the wording, but I think it's fine. I mean, I don't think you're playing this in standard, maybe, because relevant lands that you can destroy. Field of the Dead is a relevant land. Lotus Field is a relevant land. But again, I don't know if it's really game winning playing this to do that. Obviously, it's an ETV effect, so if you can blink it, that can be really nice. They are searching for basic lands, so it's if it's a greedy deck, you can punish them. Limited, I love it. And constructed, I can see it from the board. Lamplight Phoenix, 3 mana 3/3 flyer. It doesn't have haste. A Phoenix without a haste, I'm upset. When it dies, you may exile it and collect evidence 4. If you do, return it to battlefield tapped. Exile evidence. This is limited, really amazing. 3 mana 3/3 flyer, and you probably be able to feed it quite well for at least like 1 or 2 2 times that he dies. In constructed, again, I think if all to the issue, there's a lot of exile removal, so you lose value because of that. You want to be able to collect evidence 4, so you don't want this to be the end of your curve. You want to have a few expensive spells like 3s and 4s. So I don't know how to feel about it in constructed. If you had haste, it would be really good. Without haste, I'm less excited about it. Offender at Large, 5 mana, 5/4, giant rogue with the disguise. When he enters the battlefield with stun faced up to 1 target creature gets +2/+0. So you can play as a 5/4 and make one of your creatures bigger, or you can flip it for 5 as well. So you play that and flip it, and you can just attack with disguise as 7/4. So that's nice. Solid card. Again, the disguise helps with the curve, so yeah, happy with that. Burst of Interest, 4 mana, 2/2. When is the battlefield suspected? Okay, cool. You get 4 power between 2 bodies. I'm happy. Very happy. 4 mana for 4 power. And this guy would have menace. Can't block but has menace. Happy with that. Pyrotechnic Performer. 3 mana, 3/2 with disguise that flips for just 1. Whenever it or another creature controls stun face up, that creature deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. Ooh, that is very, very good. That's in limited. I don't think this will... I don't know. I don't think there's enough support for flipping cards. For cards turning face up. Because again, we just got cons on Arena. You can obviously flip the free guys. The guys that flip by revealing a card of their respective colors. That triggers nice. That combos nicely with this. And then the other cheap flippers, if you will. I'm not that exciting. I don't think it's good enough for deck. But you know, live and learn, live and learn. I do like it for limited though. That goes without saying as well. Reckless Detective, 0/3 for 2 mana. When it attacks, you may sacrifice an artifact or discard a card. If you do, draw a card and it gets +2/+0. Yeah, that's nice. You're feeding the evidence. You're attacking for 2 power, which is whatever. And you're also rummaging. Yeah, that's fine. And worse, it blocks as a 0/3. It has a relevant creature type and it has 0 power. So it works with your 2 power enablers. Red Herring, it's a 2 mana 2/2 with haste and it attacks each combat. You're always a bit wary of these cards. And it can sack, it's a clue fish, so you can sack it for 2 mana. Worth noting, it doesn't need to tap to sack. Do the equipments have to tap to sack? No, they don't. That's nice. I do appreciate that. So you can attack if it's a early game, just play with haste, attack, or now they're going to be able to eat it. Or cool, I sack it for 2 mana and draw a card. Yeah, solid card. Oh, Shock is in the format. Sorry, I'll come back to you. Shock, love the art. Shock is always great. Give me 20 Shocks in my deck. Cool. 5 mana, 5/5. Happy. Whenever it attacks, if it's not suspected, you may suspect it. You may give it menace. You won't be able to block with it anymore, but you have a 5/5 menace. Very good creature. 5 mana, 5/5 is fine on its own. But having the ability to give us menace, make it a menace to block, yeah, that's really good. Suspicious Detonation, 5 mana for sorcery, costs 3 less to cast if you sacrifice an artifact this turn. Deal 4 damage target creature. I mean, if you have clues, you get to play this for 2 mana, otherwise you're paying 5 mana for 4 damage. Which, again, you would play 1 if you really needed to. But if you have a lot of ways to sack artifacts, this becomes really, really good. We see this guy here, we see the Red Herring, we see clues. So yeah, this card can be really good. Torch the Witness, Bread and Axe, deals twice X damage to a creature. If excess damage was dealt this way, to a creature this way, investigate. So you can pay 2 mana to shock a creature. If you pay 3 mana, you're dealing 4 damage and definitely getting a clue token. Yeah, I'm happy with this removal. Love removal, man. I freaking love removal in limited. Not constructed playable. Vengeful Tracker, 2 mana, 2/2. Happy. Human Detective, happy. Whenever an opponent sacrifices an artifact, it deals 2 damage to them. I don't think this is hate berry enough for constructed against artifact decks, because they're not usually sacking their artifacts anyway. And it's just an extra little, you have a bear that happens to have a relevant ability in case your opponent has clues and stuff. Yeah, this is fine. Happy with that. I'm gonna take another breather. Cool. Let's continue for the 3rd time. Obviously, for you guys, there's no pauses, but for me there was. You can see the time on the bottom has changed. Aftermath Analyst. 1/3 for 2 Elf Detective. When he enters, you mill 3 cards. You sack and return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. And you can sack on command for 4 mana. I mean, if you're milling a lot of cards, I don't see this in limited being good. Because obviously there's only this way to mill here. But if you're talking about any constructed format, you can mill a lot of land and then just bring them all back. That can be really good. I think obviously we're talking about commander, we're talking about Bro and things like that. That's definitely good if you're playing like some kind of black-green mill deck. Eventually just bring a bunch of lands back. You're so far ahead from your opponent. So yeah, I think that's where it would be good. I don't think limited, I would say no. I don't think there's any constructed non-singleton format that would want this that I can think of. Anyways, oh, that's a interesting art. Very, very different from what we're used to seeing, huh? But Airtight Alibi, 3 mana for Flash Enchantment. Oh, it's the same thing as like similar to the other thing we saw on white. When it is battlefield, untap enchanted creature against hexproof. That's hard. Oh no, it's nothing like that one. Never mind, I'm stupid. So you enchant a creature, you untap the enchanted creature against hexproof, and if you were suspected, it's no longer suspected. So if you attack with a suspected creature, you can equip this and unsuspected and have it be able to block. It gets +2/+2 and cannot be suspected. I mean, I do enjoy the flash enchantment for limited. Giving hexproof is also very hard. Untapping it to surprise block is also very hard. So you're protecting from a removal. You untapping the surprise block. If you had suspect, it's no longer suspected, so that's very good, and it can't be suspected any longer. This is a solid combat trick. Analyze the Pollen. 1 mana for sorcery as additional cost to cast this spell. You may collect evidence 8. Oh, it's the Traverse the Uvenwald, but with collect evidence. Search a library for basic land. If evidence was collected, search for library for creature or land card. Constructed card. Very, very solid constructed card. Traverse saw a lot of play. Still sees fringe play in like modern, and sometimes people try to put in the timeless decks. Collect evidence 8 doesn't seem that difficult to do. Obviously you can't use the fetch lands, which is a bit annoying, but you know, I think it can be solid. Traverser is probably easier to achieve. I think Delirium is probably easier to achieve than evidence 8 in these faster formats where they're running a bunch of cheap cards, but I think it's still probably good for standard and be watched for other formats. Archdruid's Charm. I saw Spike tweeted about this one. It's a charm with 5 different effects. So it's 3 mana and you can choose one. So there's 5 modes in this charm. One mode is Exile Artifact, another mode is Exile Enchantment. Then another mode is put a +1/+1 counter target creature control and it deals damage to it equal to spell target creature. So removal. Then the other mode is search library for a creature or land card and reveal it. Put into the battlefield, tap if it's a land, otherwise put it. So you either search for creature or for a land and ramp. So oh, for any land as well. It doesn't have to be basic. Yeah, this card is very powerful. Limited, obviously, this is very constraining, but you're not casting it necessarily on turn 3. If you're base green, like if you're playing a 2-color deck that's base green, definitely playing. If you're normal 2-color deck, I'll be a bit wary, but I'll probably still end up playing because this is just good removal, and it has other stuff that it can do as well. And you'll definitely see constructed play. This is for certain. Being able to search for any land at instant speed and put into play is very hard. Search for your best creature as well. Like, just having so many options is really freaking good. I like it a lot. Audience with Trostani. 3 mana for sorcery. Create a 0/1 green plant creature token. Then draw cards equal to the number of differently named creature tokens you control. Yeah, this is Commander. I'm not even gonna waste time. That's Commander, man. X-Bane Ferox. 4 mana for 4 Death Touch Haste. Freaking love it. Ward Collect Evidence 4. Doesn't seem that difficult to pay. If you're somehow, like we're talking about constructed now, if you're somehow keeping your opponent's graveyard in check, it can become annoying, because if you have graveyard trespasser and things like that, that can definitely hurt them and make it more difficult for them to use the ward. If they are a deck that cares about the graveyard, that can also be very annoying, and a 4/4 Death Touch Haste is a massive freaking clock. So yeah, I really like this card, and I'll definitely see some constructed play. Buy down on crime, 4 manas, and this should cost, you may collect evidence in 6. Okay, if you collect evidence, this will cost 2 mana, and then your creature gets bigger, and okay, so it's good removal. I'm okay to play it for 4 mana, as like get +2/+0 and then deal damage. Because with spell it doesn't fight, which is great. And then if I do have the evidence, or if I need, I can also cast it for cheaper. So yeah, fantastic green removal. Case of the Locked Hothouse. You play additional land on each of your turns. To solve, you control 7 or more lands. Solved. When you look at the top card of your library anytime and you play land cards and cast creature and enchantment spells from it. Okay. The normal ability, limited, don't care. Commander, fantastic. Other constructed formats, To solve, not very difficult. Control 7 or more lands, very doable in our formats. Solved, being able to play land. You can play, you may look at the card. So you don't have to do just one. You can keep playing lands from the top of your deck. You can play 2 lands from the top of your deck. And you can play multiple creatures if they are, and enchantments also. You're not even just close to creatures and lands. You have enchantments in the bracket as well. So like, yeah, this is very powerful effect. I don't know how to feel about it in limited. Maybe, it should be. If the format is not hyper aggressive, it should be good enough. Obviously, it's a 4 mana do nothing when it comes into play, since you will need the additional land to be in your hand to be able to play it. But if you're ramping, or if it's sealed, it's probably gonna be good enough to just be playing once you solve it, and it's not that difficult to solve. So yeah, I like it a lot. Case of the Trample Garden. When this case enters battlefield, distribute 2/1/1 counters among 1 or 2 creatures. To solve, you have to have total power 8 or greater. Whenever you attack, put a +1/+1. Okay. I like it. This is a solid limited card. It makes your creatures bigger. You can make 2 creatures bigger when it comes into play. It shouldn't be that difficult in green to solve it. We yet to see any creature that solves it by itself, but there might be something. And then just every turn, whenever you attack, every turn you make 1 creature bigger and it gains trample. So yeah, that's solid card, very good limited card. Chalk Outline, 4 mana for an enchantment. Whenever 1 or more creature card leaves your graveyard, create 2/2 white and blue detective token, then investigate. Investigate doesn't even. It's a 4 mana do nothing that you need other cards to do something, and then I guess you get a token and draw a card. You need a lot of evidence, and you need mill as well, or cut ways to get cards into your graveyard more easily to make this card work. I don't know. It's a build around, but I don't know if I'm excited about it. Again, we have to see how fast the format is. If it's super slow, then yes. Otherwise, I'm grindy matchups maybe. I don't know how to feel about this. Not excited. That's how I feel. Covert Ambush, a 5 mana for 4/5. When it enters battlefield or stun face up, target creature blocks this turn if able. Yeah, you play this on turn 5, you force an opponent to an unfavorable block, or you flip it and force again to an unfavorable. Yeah, this is fine. It's a good top end. I like it. Fanatical Strength, 3 mana target. Yeah, just your good combat trick in green that gives trample and +3. We've seen it a bunch of times and we always play it. So yeah, good card. Flourishing Bloomkin, 2 mana for 0/0 that gets +1/+1 for each forest you control. So he kind of rewards you for being monocolor. When it's done face up, search the library for 2 forests and review them. Put 1 into the battlefield and the other into your hand. It's very expensive to flip it. You kind of want to be playing mostly forests. If you somehow end up in a mono green deck in limited, sure. If you happen like in a 10/7 forest situation in limited as well. Otherwise, constructed, I'm not excited because it's scaling up with your cards. Search 5, like having to invest 8 mana to search for 2 lands, only put 1 into play, and they have to be forests. That's a no for me. Get a leg up, 1 mana. Instant until of turn, that creature control gets +1/+1 for each creature control and gains reach. If you're going wide, this can just win you the game. There's a card back in the day. This was Magic Origins. It's not that old. Oh, I guess it was even more recent than that. It was in Guilds of Ravnica as well. Yeah, I remember it from Magic Origins. It was even older than that. But yeah, target creature control is +1/+1 2 turn for each creature you control. It's the same effect, but it gains reach as well. Can win you blocks and can also just outright kill your opponent. So yeah, if you're going wide enough, it's a solid combat trick. Glint Weaver, 7 mana for 3/3. Excuse me. With reach, when he enters, distribute 3+1/+1 counters among 1 to 3 creatures you control. Then you gain life equal to the greatest toughness among creatures you control. Cool. So at worst, it's a 7 mana 6/6 gain 6 life. That I'm happy with. Otherwise, it can also be a 7 mana and distribute your creatures. It's a good top end, solid top end. Again, we have to see how slow how fast the format is to see if it's really good, or if it's just good, or if it's mid. But it's at its worst, it's fine card. So yeah, Green Belt Radical, 4 mana 4/4. Happy. When it has the disguise mechanic. Whenever it's turn face up, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. What? That's really powerful. I mean, push comes to shove, you play it as a 4/4 for 4 mana. Otherwise, you play it for 3, and later on you flip, and it becomes a 5/5, and all your other creatures become bigger. This is a really good card and makes you want to kill all the wards, all the mysterious creatures your opponent plays if they're playing green. Hard hitting question: 1 mana, target creature control deals damage equal to its power target creature or planeswalker you don't control. It's Rabbit Bite for 1 mana, and it hits planeswalkers. It's Rabbit Bite, right? Am I thinking Rabbit Bite is the right card I'm thinking of? Yeah, it's Rabbit Bite for 1 mana, and it hits planeswalkers. This card could even see constructed play in your mono green Stompy decks. I don't know how good those decks are anymore, but it could see play there. I really wanted to play mono green Stompy in Timeless, but it's nowhere gonna be good. No way it's gonna be good enough. But anyways, it will see play there, and in limited it's just a 1 mana removal, because if you're playing green, you're gonna have decently sized creatures. Very good card. And even hits planeswalkers, which doesn't matter much in limited, but for constructed it will matter. Hedge Whisperer, 1 mana for 0/3 Druid Detective. You may choose not to untap it during your untap step. Tap it, collect evidence for target land control becomes a 5/5 for as long as the Whisperer remains tapped. It's still a land. I mean, it has the relevant power. It has the relevant creature type. It's very expensive to activate, and then you have to not untap it to keep it as a 5/5. Can only activate as a sorcery as well. Sitting on the fence, if games go long, can be good there. Hiding Playing Sight. Look at the top 5 cards in your deck. Cloak 2 of them and put the rest in the bottom of your deck in a random order. It's a sorcery. 4 mana sorcery, you get 4 power. And you get to choose it between 5 cards, so they can be creatures they can flip up later. I like that. That is solid for limited. I don't think you will make waves in constructed, but it's solid for limited. A Killer Among Us. 5 mana for enchantment. When he enters battlefield, you create a 1/1 human creature. You create a 1/1 blue merfolk and a 1/1 red goblin token. And simply choose human, merfolk, or goblin. Sacrifice a Kill Among Us. Reveal the chosen creature type. If target attacking creature token is the chosen type, put 3+1. Whatever, man. It's a 5 mana, make 3 1/1s. And then you get this little weird cat and mouse game where you're attacking with maybe just one of them, and then the opponent's not blocking, and then they find out, oh, it wasn't this one unnamed. If you could do it with blocking as well, I'd be more excited, but it makes sense. It's only attacking because of Kill Among Us. I don't know. I'm not excited at it. At face value, I'd have to see being played to really see where it stands. But first impression, not good, or not excited at least. Loxodon Eavesdropper, 4 mana for 3/3. When he enters battlefield, investigate. That's solid. When you draw your second card, each turn gets +1/+1 against vigilance. He's all ears. That's adorable. Detective is nice. 3/3 for 4. Creates a artifact we've seen can be relevant. The artifact later can be sacked. So it's a 5 mana 3/3 draw card. 6 mana 3/3 draw card. That's not that exciting. It's okay. It's not great. It's definitely not great. We wouldn't want to have too many, I think. At this point, obviously, the more we play with format, opinions might change. Just because I say something might not be good now, once we play, we can always change our opinion. Nervous Gardener, 2 mana for Dryad, 2/2 Dryad with Disguise. When it's in face up, search a layer for land. For a land with a basic land type, so you're going to be able to search for the Surveil lands or any Triomes and things like that, and put it into your hand. Yeah, this is good. At its worst, it's a bear. Otherwise, you're playing it for 3 and only flipping for 1 and finding a land. It helps fix your mana, kind of. I'm like it. I'll definitely play this card. Pick your poison. I love that. I love saying pick your poison. I say that way too often. So for 1 man, you have a sorcery. Your opponent can either sacrifice an artifact, an enchant, or creature with flying. You choose. Sideboard material. Could be sideboard material in construct as well, but I think they're just better cards to play though. 3 mana, 4/2 Pompous Getabout, Human Citizen. It has hexproof as long as it's your turn. Can't be blocked by creatures that don't have names. So these guys don't have names because it's a mysterious creature. So those guys can block it. I don't know if morphs have names, but I don't know how often you're gonna play this guy against a morph. So cloaks, anything that's been disguised or cloaked can't block it. That's solid. Could be meaningful. 4/2 for 3 is a solid stats, and it has hexproof in your turn. That's solid. Solid card. The Pride of the Whole Clade, 11 mana for 2/15 Crocodile Elk Turtle. That for me would be enough. It could be a vanilla creature at that point. This spell costs X less to cast for X total toughness of creatures you control, so it's not that hard to have a lot of toughness in older formats. I don't know how hard it will be here. Defender, sure. Until of turn, so you kind of want to be playing Simic, that's good to know. Until of turn, type creature control gets +1/+0 again. Whenever this creature does combat damage to a player, draw cards equal to its toughness and get attack as though it didn't have Defender. If you can play it for, let's say, 6 mana in limited, you're probably 6 mana, you're probably happy. Your opponents won't be able to attack through it ever because 15. If you are playing blue, you probably want to be playing blue in limited if you're playing this card, then you activate it, and you're going to be able to, whenever this creature does combat damage to a player, draw cards equal to its toughness. So even if you attack with like a 4/2, make it a 5/2, deal damage, you're going to draw 2 cards. That's still fine. This card is really good in limited. In constructed, I don't know how doable it will be. People are talking about ways to get it running early, but it's a lot of mana investment and a lot of build around for a card that doesn't do anything when it comes into play. You need to spend another 4 mana. But yeah, I think for construct can be cool, and for standard, maybe there's a world. Rope. So another one of the 1 mana equipments that you can sack for to draw a card. It equips for 3 mana. This one equips more expensive. Equip creature has +1/+2, has reach, and can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. I mean, the equip 3 makes me less excited about it. I much prefer the equip 2. Equip 3 is very expensive. You can't like equip to attack and then equip a creature that's gonna block. If you're paying 6 mana for 4 mana, doing that, I'm happy. For 6, I'm not happy. +1/+2 is really nice. Reach can be relevant from the board, especially, and being blocked by more than 1 creature. Yeah, I think this is the least exciting out of the bunch, but still fine. Rubber Belt Maverick. 1 mana for 1/1 Detective. 1 power Detective, like it. And it's Battlefield Surveil 2, so you're setting up your evidence, and you can exile it from a graveyard to put a counter on a creature. It's fine. Nothing to write home about, but it's fine. If you have a lot of surveilling, if you have a lot of detective stuff, things like that, you might play it, but I think overall it won't make the cut most times. More often than not. Simple Collector, 3 mana, 2/3, Troll Detective. Whenever it attacks, you may collect evidence 3. If you do, put a +1 on. Okay, this is nice. It has the power to still, at first, to get the ability from your other guys. It has the detective, and then if evidence 3 doesn't seem hard to do, and you can make it be a 3/4 when attacking, or make one of your other creatures bigger. Yeah, love it. Good card. Sharp-Eyed Rookie, 2 mana, 2/2 with Vigilance, Human Detective. So far, fantastic. Whenever a creature enters battlefield under control, if its power is greater than Sharp-Eye's power, or its toughness is greater than... Okay, so if it has greater power or toughness than this card, you put a +1/+1 counter on the rookie and investigate. Ooh, that's really hard. A 2 mana, 2/2 with Vigilance would be fine. Having this, just getting bigger and giving you tokens, clue tokens, this card is amazing in limited, and could even see playing constructed, honestly. Again, Stompy decks, probably in standard, could be doable. I might take a look in Stompy for standard, for future standard. The current standard is just like, there's too many sets, so it's very difficult for new cards to make waves. Slime Against Humanity. Terrible name. 3 mana for sorcery. A deck can have any number of cards named Slime Against Humanity. We've seen a few cards with this effect in the past. So you create a 0/0 green ooze with trample. Put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is 2. So the first one you're casting, you're making it to 2. And then for future ones, it gets bigger, equals to the slimes you have in exile or in your graveyard. So if you exile it with the card we saw earlier, the black... Give me a second, let me find it. This guy. So if you deadly cover up... it doesn't work, it's from an opponent's graveyard. Never mind. But like you can surgical extraction it from your graveyard if you're playing modern, and then every one you make in the future is going to be the size of the amount you chose to exile. It could be interesting to do in limited, but I don't think it will work in constructed. If there's like midweek magic with a popper standard, go crazy. Otherwise, 3 mana 2/2. If you have, I think in limited, if I have 4 of these, I might consider playing them. I think maybe 3. Nah, I don't know. We'll have to see. They went this way: 3 mana for sorcery, search lower for basic land card, put into the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. This fixes for when I decide to play 4 colors and 5 colors because I'm an idiot in limited. I like it. Investigate as well, ramps you. Good solid limited card. Topiary Panther, 6 mana 6/5 with trample with basic land cycle. What? Why is there green? That's the only basic land cycle we've seen? That's weird. But yeah, good creature on its own, and having land cycling is always great. So yeah, this card is great. Love it in limited. I'm just gonna be playing green X in limited, huh? Tunnel Tipster. Tipster. Sorry. 2 mana 1/1. Beginning friend tap is if a face down creature enter the battlefield on your control this turn, put a +1/+1 counter. Any ramps, and it's a common. I'm playing 15 Mole Scouts. Love the creature type. Love that he ramps, and love that he gets bigger. Love this card. Freaking love, and it's adorable. Look how cute it is. If anyone kills my Mole Scout, I am killing everyone in the room. I don't care. Look how freaking adorable he is. Oh my god, what did I just do? You look how adorable he is. Anyways, let's go. Oh my god, what did I do? Go back. Oh no, let's make it slightly bigger. But yeah, I love that card. I'm in love with it. Anyways, Undergrowth Recon. I think this is a commander card, right? At the beginning of your upkeep, return target land card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Yeah, this is a commander card. If you want, you can play this with fetch lands and you get to ramp, but I don't know why you want to be doing that. It doesn't do anything when it comes into play. You gotta wait a whole land turn cycle to do something. If you have like Field of Ruins and Ghost Quarters, I guess you get to play it, and then if you have this plus Crucible of Worlds, you bring it back at the beginning of your upkeep, destroy one of the lands, Crucible of Worlds, you play it again, destroy another one of the lands. That's what comes to mind, but not excited. Vengeful Creeper, 5 mana 5/5. When it's turn face up, destroy target effect on each opponent control. 5 mana 5/5, you're happy to play. It has a relevant ability in case you see something scary, and obviously not this, but something scary. Yep, so this is fine limited. V2 Gaussing Spectre, 1/3 for 2. You may collect evidence 6 when you cast it. If you collect evidence, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature and gain 2 life. Early game is a 2 mana 1/3 with reach. Late game, it can be a 2/4 that gains life. Yeah, it scales as the game goes. I like it. We are in the multicolor cards. Agros Cause, Spirit of Justice, 2 a red and a white for 2/4 double strike Vigilant Spirit Detective. So it has the relevant power and the relevant creature type, double strike and vigilance. When it's battlefield attack, choose up to 1 target creature. If it's suspected, exile it, otherwise suspected. That's really powerful in limited. I don't think it'll be good enough in constructed, at least in first moment. So when it comes into play, you can suspect one of your opponent's creatures, so they won't be able to block. You can attack with the creatures you played earlier. Then the next time you can attack with this and exile that creature, or you can just suspect another one of their creatures, and then yeah, you remove a lot of blockers. This thing limited is insane. Your opponent just basically won't be blocking anymore. Constructed, I think future standard, maybe current standard. I don't know if red white has legs to stand on. red white, and if they want this because it doesn't have haste, it can be a bit slow. Sorry, I'm a bit dying there. Alquist Prophet. Proft? It's not a prophet, it's just a proft. Master Sleuth. So it's a 3/3 for 3 mana with Vigilance, Human Detective. When he enters battlefield, investigate. That's fantastic. Then you can pay. Ooh, so you get to Sphinx Rev, huh? So Sphinx Revelation, for you guys that don't know. Please work. Thanks. It's an instant speed, 3 mana and X. You gain X life and draw X cards. This one you're tapping it and you're doing a Sphinx Rev's cost and sacking a clue and drawing a lot of cards and getting a lot of life. Really good limited card. I don't think it will be good enough for constructed. Again, at least in the first moment. I've definitely seen some blue-white artifact decks in Alchemy, but I don't think they would want this. They are more aggressive, slanted. And Zrag, the Quake mode, the Mo God. 4 mana for an 8/4. When it becomes block, untap each creature control after this combat phase. There's an additional combat phase. So your opponent either takes 8 to the face, or you get an extra combat with all your other creatures. Because usually this, if they're blocking this guy, they probably are killing it, because 4 toughness, not a lot of toughness. You can also pay 7 to force them to block each combat this turn if they're able. Well, to be blocked. So if there's a world where you can do this, activate it, give it indestructible somehow, and then your opponent just keeps blocking, has to keep blocking it until they run out of creatures, and you just keep attacking with your other creatures. There's dumb stuff to do. At its worst, I mean, limited is amazing. Constructed, again, it suffers because it's a god that doesn't have the return ability. If you have ways to give it haste, it can be really good. Standard, I don't know if there's a deck for it right now, but in the future, I mean, you have a bunch of, it's just standard right now is the mid-range fast, and then you have red deck wins. So I don't know if it'll fit right now, but in the future it can be good. I don't think it does anything else in the older formats unless someone breaks it somehow. Assassin's Trophy coming back. Destroy target permanent opponent controls. This controller may search a library for basic land card and put it into the battlefield. It's a removal spell that you're not excited to play in limited, because you don't want to ramp your opponent unless you're destroying something really good from theirs. So it's a removal spell that you want to play late game. It's a cheap removal that you want to play late. You probably end up, if you get it, you play it in the colors. It's more constructed oriented. We already have it on Arena. In Standard it can be fine, but older formats already have it and they don't really play it. So I don't know what I'm saying. Anyways, Aurelia is back. The Law Above, 5 mana for 4/4 flying vigilance haste. Love it. Whenever play attacks with 3 or more creatures, you draw a card. Ooh, even if your opponent attacks with 3 or more creatures, you draw a card. That's really nice. Whenever play attacks with 5 or more creatures, deal 3 damage to each of your... Oh, I love this card. Adore this card. I'm definitely making a Brawl tokens deck with it. Because then you just go wide, you attack, and you just draw a card and deal damage to your opponent. Insane in limited, I don't think you will... 5 mana is a lot of mana for your red-white decks, so I don't think you will quite make the cut for constructed, but limited is insane. Blood Spat Analysis, 2 mana for an enchantment. When it enters battlefield, it deals 3 damage to target creature and opponent controls. Removal, 2 mana removal that stays in play and does something. Whenever one or more creature die, mill a card and put a bloodstain counter. Cool. You kill something, it gets a counter. Then, if it has 5 or more counters, sacrifice it. When you do, return that creature card from your graveyard to your hand. This is really good removal for limited. In constructed, there's a lot of red-black decks, and they tend to have a lot of removal. So whenever one or more creatures die, mill a card. I'm thinking of like the red-black sacrifice deck in like older formats, your explorers and historic, with like cat oven kind of stuff. So you can very easily get the 5 counters on this, and then return a creature from your graveyard, like Mayhem Devil that died earlier in the game. You can return it, or any other. Is it dead? Is Mayhem Devil? Yeah. So you can return it, something like that. So I think it could be playable in older formats. I think there's more efficient removal, but it can come from the sideboard for grindy matchups. I like it. Breakout. Grew mana for a source. You look at top 6 card of a library. You review a creature from among them. If the card has mana value 2 or less, you can put it in play and it gains haste. Interesting. If you didn't put it into the battlefield this way, put it into your hand. I'm always wary of these cards that you can whiff in limited, because you need to, like, sometimes people will play 12 creatures and play something like this, and then they just pay 2 mana to get nothing. If you're playing a lot of creatures in limited, seems decent. You either getting a hasty creature and attacking, or you're getting one of your bigger creatures for a follow-up turn, or your better creature. So yeah, this can be fine in limited, not super exciting. Buried in the Garden, 4 mana for an enchantment, a land enchantment. In this battlefield, exile target non-land permanent you don't control. Under it, whenever enchanted lands tap 4 mana. Ooh! I think 4 mana is very expensive for constructed for this effect, but for limited you will be able to ramp you and remove the most problematic things. So yeah, this for limited, really good. Really good. Coerce to kill, 5 mana for Nora, control enchanted creature. So you can you steal opponent's creature and make it into a 1/1 death touch. So you don't want to steal something big, as in big in the sense of power. You want to steal something with a relevant ability. Just anything with a relevant ability is what you want to steal. 5 mana, not doable in limited. Sorry, in constructed, but really solid. Just steal your opponent's creature in limited and give it death touch so you can attack with it, or just block with it. Good card. Crowd Control Warden, 5 mana 4/4. When he enters battlefield or is stunned face up because he has Disguise, put X+1/+1 counters into X number of other creatures you control. Yeah, this can be freaking huge. And it's not expensive to flip it. So yeah, I love this card already. I like the Disguise cards that either flip up for the same cost or for cheaper. And 5 mana 4/4, you also get the ability when you play it out of your hand, so that's also good. Love this card. The ability to surprise them and just flip up a huge creature, because it's going to be a 4/4. Let's say you have 2 more creatures, a 6/6 whilst attacking. Really like this card. Curious Cadaver. It's 4 mana for 3/1 flyer. When you sacrifice a clue, you can return from the graveyard to your hand. This one I'm not excited. 3/1 for 4 mana, like he will trade with anything. He dies to anything. And you have to sack a clue to return to your hand, not to play. If you return to play, I'll be more excited. It's okay. It's not bad, because I do love my flyers in limited. Deadly Complication, 3 mana for choose one or both. Love it. So you get a murder or pull up +1 card on target suspected creature control. So you can unsuspect a creature you control and make it bigger. At its worst, is a 3 mana sorcery speed murder. So yeah, good card. Good card. Oh, this will. I think Tessa died. This is Italian. Let's try it. So it's Detective's Purse, 4 mana artifact. When it comes into play, you investigate twice. You tap it. You create a 1/1 Thopter token with flying. Activate only if you've sacrificed an artifact this turn. 4 mana, do nothing. Well, don't impact the board when it comes into play, because you investigate twice, then you can later sack it. But it's kind of a build around in limited, isn't it? If you have a lot of clues, if you have other ways to sack artifacts for cheap, can be good, but I think this requires a deck around it. It's not good in a vacuum. Dog Walker, hey, it's me. Human Citizen, 3/1 Vigilance. He has Disguise for filling for 2. When he's stunned face up, okay, I like it. This reminds me of the Goblin. Oh god, that's the worst spelling of Goblin Morph Tarkir. What is it? This guy reminds me of this guy, Ponyback Brigade. It's a underwhelming creature on its own. Well, 6 mana for 2/2. Yeah, 5 power for 6 mana, but if playing it as a 2/2 early, forcing trading if you have to, and then just flipping it, getting tokens. Same here. You can play as a 3/1, but if you play as if you disguise it, it's really nice ability. I like it. It's a common as well. 2 mana 3/1. If you have to play it on turn 2, you're fine with that. Doppelgang. For each of X target permanents, create X tokens that are copies of that permanent. So it's 5 mana to create 1. It's 8 mana to create 2. It's 11 mana to create 3. So realistically, 8 mana. If you're playing green, actually, we've seen a few ways to ramp. So I think up to 3 is possible. And that seems really powerful ability. For 5 mana, getting a copy of the best thing in play seems really good. Really good limited card. Love it, love it. We'll definitely play it so many times. Drag the Canal. Create for instant speed. Create 2/2 detective. If a creature dies this turn, you gain 2 life. Surveyor 2, then investigate. So at its worst, it's a 2/2, 2 mana 2/2 with flash. At its best, it's a 2 mana 2/2 flash, and you gain 2 life, and you surveyor 2, and you create a token. I mean, it's a rare, so it makes sense, but I don't see. I mean, I guess there's some flash decks. I remember playing a lot of flash decks in the past, but I don't know if there are any right now ongoing. I can't think of any. Tempo decks might want this, like the fairy decks could use it. Something else to play at instant speed and get a bunch of things. I'll be surprised though. I think it's limited card, very very powerful and limited. Although it's not a bomb, but it's a very good card. Errata, Deadly Fugitive, 3 mana for 1/4 Death Touch, Vampire Assassin. We all know Etrata, not Errata. Sorry. Face down creatures you control have pay 4, turn this creature face up. If you can't exile it, then you may cast the exile card without paying its mana cost. So if you have cloaked things that are not creatures, you can, with her in play, you're able to exile it and play them. And whenever an assassin you control, so we've seen a few assassins, right? I've definitely seen, let's see if we can find one real quick, because I've definitely seen assassins. I want to say they're in black and blue. Give me 1 second. Gorgon Assassin, Vampire Assassin, Human Assassin, yeah, we've definitely seen some assassins, so this matters for that. I just saw it and didn't miss it. When an assassin control this combat opponent, cloak the top card of the bear. So cloaking, you're gonna exile the top card and make a 2/2 creature token with War 2. Yeah, very powerful card. Etrata has always been powerful and limited. We have seen quite a few Etratas at this point. Well, I guess only 2. Wasn't there another Etrata? Maybe I'm crazy. Well, similar Etrata. This one was really powerful and limited. Never made waves in constructed. I think this one will be very similar. I swear there was something similar to Etrata then, I guess. Evidence Examiner, 2 mana for 2/2. Detective, at the beginning of combat of your turn, you may collect evidence 4. Oh, cool. It's a bear, and then if you have things in your graveyard, you get to create clue tokens. Love it. Solid card. Solid card. Ezrim, Agency Chief. 5 mana for 5/5 with flyer. When he enters the battlefield, investigate 2. That's so insane. 5 mana, 5/5 flyer. Already good. Investigate 2. Insane. And then you can sack an artifact and give it Vigilance, Lifelink, or Hexproof. This is a bomb. There's no other way around. This is just a broken bomb. You can protect it. It's already so well rounded. Has flying. It's drawing you extra cards. Yeah, this is broken limited. Not kind of traditional card that will make waves in constructed. I could see in future standard, not current standard. So yeah, Fairy Snoop. 3 mana, 1/4 with flying. Whenever it's turned face up, because it has disguise, look at the top 2 cards of the library, put one into your hand and the other into your graveyard. Yeah, it's solid. 1 mana. If you have to play it as a 3 mana 1/4 flyer, that's fine. If you play it as a mysterious creature and then you flip it later, you get a bit of card advantage. I like it. It's a common card, so you can't ask too much. Gadget Technician, 4 mana 3/2. When he enters the battlefield or is done face up, create a 1/1. Yep, love it. 4 mana for 4 power and 3 toughness in 2 bodies with a 1/1 flying. This card is really, really good. We would love to play loads of them. Gleaming Gear Drake, 2 mana 1/1 flying. Investigates, and whenever you sacrifice an artifact, gets bigger. Great card. It's gonna put pressure early and it's gonna get out of hand, not quickly but throughout the game. So yeah, and it has flying, so it's evasive as well. Really good card. Whenever you sacrifice, there's probably things you can do in construct with it, but I can't think of anything on the top of my mind that you're sacrificing a lot of artifacts. Mishra's Bauble, but I mean, if you're playing Mishra's Bauble, you're probably playing a more powerful deck than Gleaming Gear Drake. Granite Witness, 4 mana 3/2 flying vigilance. Whenever it's done face up, you may tap 1, tap target creature. Probably just gonna play it as a 4 mana 3/2 with flying. Although, like, it flips up for 2 mana, so that's nice. But I'm happy to play as 4 mana 3/2 flying. I don't speak Japanese, so let's go in. AAA, triple A Lens Flare. Draw 2 4 mana sorcery. Draw 2 cards. Then you may discard 2 cards. When you do, it deals X damage to each creature X there. Okay, it's a rough effect in blue red. It's not restrictive by double red. It draws you cards, so if you're playing against a deck that doesn't have creatures, or you've already killed a creature, so the extra copies just draw you 2 cards for 4 mana. Yeah, very good card, and we'll definitely see some constructed play. If there's some Jeskai control deck, or even some blue-red, counter burn kind of stuff. So yeah, I like it. Definitely like it. Definitely decent card. Definitely playing in limited as well. Insidious Roots, double Golgari enchantment. Creatures you control have creature tokens you control have add mana. You can tap them to add mana for any color, so you fixes. Whenever one creature card leaves your graveyard, create a 0/1 green plant token and put up a +1/+1 counter on each plant you control. So this, if you play it on turn 2 and then you do evidence stuff, that's really good. You could say playing constructed. There are enough, creatures leaving graveyard effects. But I don't know, like, the first thing that comes to mind is all the Narcomoeba kind of decks that are putting the Bloodgasters into play and stuff, and you kind of don't want to spend your turn 2 doing this. You kind of rather mill 10. So I think there might be a world where it gets played in constructed, and I'm definitely interested to build around it in limited. This is an interesting build around because you're making a lot of tokens. Obviously only one every time you do evidence stuff. If you're also just rebuying creatures from your graveyard, also works. And then you're just making your tokens bigger as well. And your tokens fix your mana and ramp you, so that's nice. Izoni, Center of the Web, 6 mana 5/4 menace. When he enters or attacks, you may collect evidence 4. If you do, create 2 tokens. So if you pay it for 6 and you can evidence 4, which I assume you can at that point, you're gonna have 9 power amongst 3 bodies. That's insane. That's really, really strong. Then you can sacrifice 4 tokens, surveil 2, then draw 2 cards, you gain 2 life. I can definitely see this as a top end of some kind of Golgari mid-range attacking standard, and I mean in limited it goes without saying this card is insane. You get a pack 1 and you force black green and have a great time. Judith, 3 mana, well 5 mana, 3/4 human shaman. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery, I've seen Ash's Sizzle, I think it's her name. I'm sorry, I started following her recently, so I can't remember fully her name. She complained that this is not a Rakdos effect, which, yeah, I agree. This is definitely an Izzet effect stuck on Judith for some reason, which is a shame. Because Judith, we had old Judith that was really cool with they cared about, kind of aristocrat kind of stuff. You're sacking creatures and stuff. This doesn't really fit in the same deck. But anyway, for limited, it's really good. Whenever you cast into sorcery, either you give Death Touch and Lifelink, so any removal spell kills because it has Death Touch, and you'll gain your life, so that's really good. Or you create a 2/2 imp that if it dies, it deals 2 damage. This in limited is really good. I'm not sure if we'll make the waves in construct. 3/4 for 5 mana with no ETB, kind of a yikes. Kaya, the 1 planeswalker in the set. 3 loyalty for 4 mana. Whenever one or more creatures you control and or creature cards in your graveyard are put into exile, you may choose a creature card from among them until 10 target token control becomes a copy of it, except it has flying. I mean, it works with collecting evidence, because then you can target token though you control becomes a copy. It seems just a lot of work. I guess the +1 makes a token, so that's nice. Surveil 2, then exile card from my graveyard. Okay, it self-enables. It doesn't need the things like that. Exile a creature control for each other player. Exile up to 1 target creature the player. So you lose a creature to kill one of the creatures. So that, yeah, I mean, it reminds me a little bit of Sorin, the one from Khans of Tarkir, because you're making tokens and, well, just that 4 mana planeswalker, or it's all planeswalker as well. This can be really nice if you put a lot of powerful creatures in your graveyard. I guess you can have your Ulamogs, the Ceaseless Hunger, so they are milling 20 cards, exiling 20 cards right from the deck. Anything with an attack trigger is kind of what you want, or just a really strong creature. So if you have, what is it? Not Emrakul. The Infect 12-12, which is, well, 11-11, that's not on Arena yet, but things like really powerful creatures you're attacking, it can be really strong, this card. But to build a deck like that could be a bit difficult, because you have to have some tokens. You don't want the only tokens you have is from here. You want to be able to play this and already do the broken thing, right? You already want to +2 on and exile the broken card from your graveyard, and your token already hits. So yeah, I think I don't know if you have a deck for it, but people can try to build a deck, but I don't know how cohesive the deck will be. Kellen, Inquisitive Prodigy, 4 mana. That's been how many Kellens now? We had the Simic Kellen, we had the Boros Kellen, and now we also had the Celestia Kellen. Nice. This one is the Simic one, so he has Adventure. So you investigate and you can play. So you get a clue token, you can play an extra land, and then it's a 4 mana 3/4 flying vigilance. Already happy. Whenever it attacks, you trap to 1 target artifact. If you control the permanent, draw a card. It's a good hate card. We've seen this kind of ability before, where attack ability to destroy artifacts and enchantments has never been traditionally played a lot in Constructed. Limited is insane, 3/4 flyer for 4 mana with vigilance as well, but I don't think it will make waves in Constructed. This is interesting. It doesn't draw the card though, because if it was an Explorer, it would be insane. Crawl Whipcracker, 2 mana for 3/2 reach assassin. When it enters battlefield, destroy target code. This card is just good. It's an above curve creature, 3/2 for 2. Has reach. Assassin can be somewhat relevant creature type, and it destroy a token. So tokens could be your. If we're talking about this limited format, we're talking about the clues, we're talking about the spirits, we're talking about the imps, we're talking about the spiders, we're talking about the detectives. But if we talk a bit further, if we talk standard, you even destroy like the enchantment tokens that Monstrous Rage gives, for example. So yeah, this is really nice. This is just an above curve creature with a relevant ETB. Love it. Kylox Visionary Inventor, 7 mana 4/4, Menace, War 2, and Haste. Okay, that's a lot of words. When attack sacrifice any number of other creatures, then exile the top X card of your library, where X is the total power of the sacrifice creature. You may cast any number of instant source. This screams to me Commander, because you want to put really powerful spells to cast for free in your deck. I don't see this. I think in limited, 7 mana 4/4 is not that exciting. You're not going to have that many powerful instant and sorcery in your deck. You're not going to be exiling that many powerful creatures. So I don't think this is a limited card. Obviously, Menace, War 2, and Haste is nice, but 7 mana is a lot of mana. I think this is a commander card. Trying to think of way to sneak it in and do dumb things, but I don't think there's many dumb things to it. I think it's a commander card, unfortunately. It's interesting, but not good enough. 3 mana 4/4 vehicle with crew 2. You can also collect evidence 6 to crew it. Whenever it attacks, you may cast an sorcery spell from among cards exile. If it's okay, so exile cards underneath it. The spell we put into a graveyard, put on the bottom of its own as a library. So yeah, this seems really good. Limited goes without saying, it's amazing. Constructed, you don't even need creatures to freaking crew this. You just, you're playing, let's say, Phoenix, for example. Just exile all your boats and your treasure crews, and later you just cast them. And you don't need, it can be any cost. It doesn't need to be less power or cost cheaper than its power or anything. It just needs to attack and you have exiled something. So Magma Opus, because you collect evidence 6, Magma Opus sorry, I said a better word, freaking works. Magma Opus is 8 mana, and then you get to cast your Magma Opus, and yeah, this card is amazing. It'll definitely sprout some decks in Constructed. Some kind of, well, not necessarily sprout, but make, it can not necessarily, it can sprout. Let's say sprout, yeah. Some kind of, Magma Opus and this. I like that. I'm gonna do this as well. 3. You need to make your tweets, we need to be active on the social medias. So yeah, I love this card. Lazav, Wearer of Faces, 2 mana 2/3. When it attacks, exile a card from a graveyard and investigate. Whenever you sacrifice a clue, you may have Lazav become a copy of target creature card exile affinity on of turn. I mean, limited, you're happy with it. In Constructed, exile a card from a graveyard. If you're putting okay, let's say turn 1, Faithless Looting. It's not banned in Timeless. Faithless Looting, turn 1, offer Blood Crypt. Discard a Ulamog. Turn 2, play Lazav. Turn 3, attack with Lazav. Exile the Ulamog. Investigate. Attack and then Sacred the Clue and deal 10 damage. Yeah, I mean, there's probably more powerful things, but you can do things in Constructed. I like it. I wanna watch this space. Watch this space. This is the card everyone's been talking about. Leyline of the Guild Pact. If it's in your hand, in your opening hand, you can begin with it in play. Each land permanent control is all colors. Lands control every basic land type in addition to the other types. People are talking about what it does with Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx. How do you spell it? Is it Nykthos? Shrine to Nyx? Shrine to Nyx. Yeah, that I completely misspelled it. So choose a color, add 1 to your mana pool, amount of mana of that color, equal to your devotion to that. So you already have 4 devotion to green. So yeah, this does a lot of devotion. People are talking about it in modern and stuff, or older formats. You're gonna hear a lot about this card, and at some point maybe it gets banned, but you hear a lot about this. Lightning Helix is coming into standard. 2 mana, deal 3 damage to any target, and you gain 3 life. Amazing removal in limited, and you can play it in Constructed, in your Jeskai control decks, or in your burn decks. It's just good removal, and goes face. Love it. And it also helps you win races, because it gains your life. Meddling Youth. 5 mana for 4/5 with haste. Whenever you attack with 3 or more creatures, investigate. Love this for limited. For your aggressive decks is your curve and a really, really good card. Love this Scooby-Doo also idea. Niv Mizzet Guild Pack, so 1 of each color for 6/6, flying hexproof from multicolor dragon avatar. When it deals combat damage to a player, it deals X damage to any target. Target player draws X card and you gain X life or X the number of different color pairs among permanents you control that are exactly 2 colors. Yeah, I mean, if I open this in limited, I'm going 5 colors and drafting all the double color cards I can and just mana fixes. Seems difficult to do. In Constructed, you obviously have the other Niv Mizzet that they work well together. The 5 mana one, the Reborn, because this one gets to draw you all the color pairs, and this one needs to deal combat damage though, so this is obviously less powerful. I think obviously your commanders and your brawls and stuff, definitely will do a brawl video of this at some point. Other than that, limited, you definitely build around it. Your mana is going to be very difficult to do, but I definitely want to build around it limited. I don't know if it would work. Hexproof from multicolor, I think there's enough monocolored removal that makes it kind of and it needs to connect as well. Normalize, it's a mana leak. Counter spell lights control pays 3. If that spell's counter this way, you exile it. So it's a multicolor mana leak. We haven't seen mana leak in a while, so it's obviously wow, they're printing it again. So this, I think mana leak is not even legal in Pioneer, right? That's how old it is. Is it legal in Pioneer? It's not. So it's gonna be mana leak's gonna be legal in Pioneer now. So that's obviously going to be interesting to see. Blue-White Control is already a deck there. You have your other control deck. So yeah, this is a really good card. Not the most excited about it in limited. It's a counter spell that hits everything, which is something we haven't seen in a while for 2 mana. But obviously it's a bit restrictive. So yeah, but it's very good for Construct. This is going to be played in every single format. Like it will be played in Standard, it will be played in Pioneer, it will be played in Alchemy, Explorer, Historic. Timeless will be we need to see. Officious Interrogation, 2 mana for an instant that costs 2 more to cast for each target beyond the first shooting number. Okay, so you're paying 2 mana for investigate X time or X the total number of creatures. So if your opponent, you can target yourself. So you can target yourself and your opponent for 4 mana and investigate X times or X the amount of creatures in play basically. Yeah, it can be very powerful. If as a slower deck, your opponent is going wide. If you're going wide as well, in Commander, obviously you can target every single player. Interesting card. Obviously requires you to have a bunch of creatures or to be... your opponent have a lot of creatures, but you're also just investigating. You're not drawing the card straight away. Again, it's kind of my issue here. Obviously, I'd rather draw the card straight away. But interesting card. It definitely has a lot of space to be good. Private Eye, 3 mana for 3/3 has the best flavor text. Yep, it's a vase, alright. 3 mana 3/3 detective. So this is a detective lore. It makes your detective bigger. Whenever you draw a second card each turn, you can make a detective unblockable. Amazing card for limited. Maybe a detective deck in constructed. I'd be very surprised because you don't get a lot of support from other sets since detective is a new creature type. Rakdos, Patron of Chaos, 6 mana 6/6 flying trample. At the beginning of your end step, target opponent may sacrifice 2 no-land non-token permanents. If they don't, you draw 2 cards. It doesn't do anything on HCB, but you're probably going to survive until the end of the turn, and your opponent either going to lose 2 permanents, non-land permanents, and non-tokens, so relevant permanents, and you're gonna draw 2 cards. I could see this being playable decently constructed in standard for certain. 6 mana is a lot of mana for other formats, but in standard is definitely going to be decent, and in limited is insane bomb. Rakish Scoundrel, 4 mana 3/3 Death Touch. When he enters battlefield, turn face up because he has Disguise. Target creature gains indestructible. Yeah, 3 mana Death Touch. 4 mana 3/3 Death Touch, so that's really good in combat and has a relevant ability. And it's a common as well, that's good. Relive the Past, 7 mana for a sorcery. Return up to 1 target effect card, 1 land, and 1 non-aura enchantment from your graveyard to the battlefield. They're 5/5 in addition to the other types. That's powerful. It doesn't return a creature, which is kind of my issue here. Artifacts we haven't seen. Lands that get into the graveyard, I guess, with not evidence, with milling, I guess, or discarding. We obviously have fetch lands in other formats, but not here. This is not constructed playable in like non-singleton formats. Limited, I am unsure how many artifacts we're going to be able to get into a graveyard. We obviously have the clue equipments, but it's weird to play the clue equipments with a 7 mana card. Lands, we'll see now how many we can get with the surveilling, and then non-aura enchantment, we saw a few. A bit on the fence on this card, but I'm leaning towards not good. Repulsive Mutation, put X plus 1 counters on target creature, then count up to 1 target spell unless controller pays X equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. So it's at its worst, you need to have a creature in play, and then you pay 2 mana, and you have like a 2/2, it's like a quench. If you have extra mana, you can make your creature huge, and you don't. You can cast it without having a target as well. So yeah, this card is really solid. I love this card. This card is really solid for limited. Love it. Rift Burst Hellion, 7 mana 6/7 with reach. I wish he had haste instead, but that's fine. It's a big dude. It's a big ass dude that you can play earlier in the curve. This saves the card, makes it really decent. Giocliere Marchi. Not even. I know some Italian, so let's try. So it's a 2 mana 2/2 human shaman. When he enters battlefield, suspect up to 1 creature. I don't know what Bersaglio is. 1 creature up to 1 creature you control. Sure. 5 mana, sacrifice a suspected creature. A target creature. Bersaglio is target. Yeah, Bersaglio is target. Up to 1 target creature, and that creature gets -1. So you sacrifice a suspected creature, and a creature gets -5/-5. Again, at its worst, it's a 2/2 for 2 mana. And you get to you can suspect itself. You can suspect another creature you control, and then later on in the game you can sacrifice a suspected creature that you got it from this card or any other way, and you kill something. Yep, this card is amazing and limited. Love it. Sanguine Savior, 3 mana 2/1 flying lifelink. Love it. Whenever it's turn face up, another creature control gains lifelink. Love it. I love it already as a 3 mana 2 power flying lifelinker, and maybe this comes up. But I'm fine playing as a 3 mana 2/1 with flying and lifelink, so I don't have to waste the extra mana. Unless it's late game and I have the extra mana. Because you can play this on turn 5 as a mysterious creature, and then flip it straight away to give lifelink to another creature. Shading Informant, 5 mana 4/2. When it dies, it deals 2 damage to any target. Okay. 5 mana 4/2 is... But I guess this makes me less unhappy. You can play on turn 3 as a 2/2, attack it on turn 4, They block, you flip, they trade, and you kill. You trade and you kill another creature. So maybe then. Unshadow. So sir, second opponent reviews the hand, you choose an only card from it, exile the card. If the card mana value is 1 or less, you probably cool. So you, oh crap, sorry. I have notifications for football game. Hope that wasn't too loud. For some reason I thought I wasn't recording. So you get to take something away from them. If you happen to take something very cheap, which I'll be surprised, you get a 1/1 flyer, but it's sideboard material and limited. We used to have, oh, what is the card? And Disruption, Surveil 1, Tot Scour? No, it's not, Tot Erasure. So this is something that people used to play a lot. We had like, but the Surveil 1's a lot more meaningful than maybe make a token, so I don't think this will be played, unfortunately. Sumala Sentry. Whenever face down permanent you control is turned face up, put a +1/+1 count on it and a +1/+1 count on Sumala Sentry. If you got a lot of disguise, mysterious creatures, this becomes better. If you don't have at least, I don't know, let's say like 3, you probably don't want to play this card. So yeah, my opinion at least. I think 3 will be the minimum I would need to not be upset playing this card, because a 1/3 reach is okay, but obviously the better 2 drops. Taser, Upland Oligarch, 3 mana, 2/3 Death Touch. At the beginning of your end step, investigate for each opponent who lost life this turn. Okay, that's very aggressive. So you're attacking early, putting pressure, and you get to investigate. Whenever clue you control is put into a grave on the battlefield, create a 1/1 flyer. Only triggers once each turn, so you can sack a clue on your turn, make a 1/1, sack a clue on their turn, make a 1/1. Yeah, this card is really good in limited, and probably good enough in constructed as well. It's a human. There's some human decks that could play this as a top end. Or just aggressive black-white decks, just make tokens. Even if like you don't get to get the 1/1s, you're just getting investigate, you're just getting clue tokens, that seems good. Tin Street Gossip, 4 mana, 4/4 vigilance. That adds mana only to cast face down spells or to turn the creatures face up. If you're on the deck with the thing, wasn't there another card with relevant disguise stuff? I swear there was. Whenever you collect evidence, no, I don't remember. I swear we saw another one that, but can't find it now. Whatever. If you have a lot of disguise, you might want to play it, but your ramp guy coming, I mean, it's a 4/4/4 with vigilance, so you're probably playing, if you're red-green, you're playing this guy, and then this is just extra text. Yeah, I like it. It's a solid card. Toastmere. Oh, Toastmere's back. Midnight's Light. 5 mana, 3/2 with lifelink. When he enters battlefield, you create you get 8 power for 5 mana, and this guy has lifelink, and the other one has trample. That's insane. This card is amazing. Whenever if you control attacks, if you Toastmere attack this combat our creature, opponent control blocks them. This card is insane in limited, and it's definitely standard playable. Holy crap. You get 8 power for 5 mana, man. That's crazy. Treacherous Greed, 3 mana. For an instant, you draw 3 cards, your opponent loses 3 life and gain 3 life. You have to sacrifice a creature that was... Sacrifice a creature that dealt damage this turn. If damage still went on the stack, this card would be better, right? Wait, no, it wouldn't. Never mind. No, it would. I don't know how damage on the stack work. I never played with it. But... imagine you're an aggressive deck, you attack with your... If you're playing tokens... You sack your tokens. Yeah, no. I can dig this card. I like it. I actually do like it. If you have tokens or you have a very aggressive deck and you sack your aggressive creatures, like you're playing this and Taste in the same deck, you're attacking with early creatures, you're triggering Taste, and then you can sack 1 and draw 3 cards, and like also Lightning Helix. Yeah, this is good. Trostani, 3 Whispers. 3 mana for 4/4, happy. Target creature gains Death Touch, amazing. Target creature gains Vigilance, amazing. Target creature okay, it's a 4/4/3, that's already above curve with 3 relevant activated abilities. Love this card. Probably good enough for standard as well. Definitely. Undercover Crocodilf. 6 mana 5/5. When he deals combat damage to a player, investigate, and you can always surprise attack with him because it comes from disguise. Yeah, solid card, limited. Urgent Necropsy. 4 mana for an instant. Oh, I've seen this card. Additional cost to cast a spell. Collect evidence X, where X is the total mana value of the permanence this spell target. X is since it's evidence, you can, like, let's say you want to destroy. So you destroy up to one artifact, one creature, one enchantment, and one planeswalker. Let's say you want to destroy a total of 15 mana value. You don't have to exile exactly 15. You have to exile 15 or up. This card is amazing, and it will see play across a multitude of formats. Vanify, Involved Enigma. 4 mana for 3/4 Ooze Wizard. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose one. Cloak a card, so you're making an extra 2/1, a 2/2 every turn, or you put a counter on each color's. Oh, this card is amazing. This card is amazing. Limited, this card is a bomb. You're gonna get an extra creature every turn, or you're gonna pump all your colorless creatures. Constructed, it probably might be fine for standard. Again, it's just the issue. I mean, you survive into combat and you get an extra creature, but I don't know how powerful cloaking or relevant it can be. But you know, solid card. Limited, bomb, 100%. You're splashing this card. If you're green red, you're splashing blue. If you're blue red, you're splashing green. If you're blue black, you're splashing, like, this card, you want to play it. War Leader's Call. 3 mana for an enchantment that pumps all your creatures. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. Ooh, tokens. You make your creatures bigger, and now they ping your opponents whenever you play. Like, you play Hoarding Outburst, you hit your opponent for 3. You play Raise the Alarm, you hit your opponent for 2, and you make 2/2s. Like, yeah, this card is great. Love it. Definitely will have some kind of standard deck with it. Vampire, 2/4 for 4 mana. It flies. Whenever another creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. For 7 mana, the target creature you control with power 2 or less gains Death Touch and Lifelink until the end of the turn. Or is it each creature? Creatures you control with power 2 or less gain Death Touch and Lifelink until the end of the turn. Yeah, that's 4 mana 2/4. And whenever smaller creatures enter the battlefield, you're gonna ping your opponent and gain a life. So you're gonna be draining your opponent. That's really good, and it has a very good relevant ability, giving Death Touch to all and Lifelink as well. Yeah, this card is amazing. Limited. War Soul's Rage. Red, green, and X for sorcery. Deals X damage to any target. Put up to X land card from your hand and graveyard to the battlefield. I mean, I'm happy with just the first part. You know, it's just like it scales up as the game goes along. Is removal. It can go face as well, and then you might be able to get some extra lands from your graveyard if for some reason there are any. I don't speak Japanese. Yara's Roar of the Gods. Other creatures you can draw have haste. Fantastic. Oh, he doesn't have haste itself. Boo. Whenever one or more face down creatures you control the combination to play it, draw a card. That's really good. Whenever another face down creature you control dies, run the battlefield face down, it's under control if it's a permanent card. Then turn it face up. Could that be a morph deck? Sorry, a disguise deck. I don't know, but this card is really powerful in limited for sure. Other creatures you control have haste. Even if you don't use this stuff, you obviously kind of want to. If you have this guy, prioritize disguise cards, just so you get this ability and also this. Yeah, this card is amazing. This card is a bomb. If you open it, you're just gonna take all the disguise creatures you see. Seize and Desist. Exile up to 2 target cards from a single graveyard, target play gains 2 life and draws a card. Yeah, that's it. Cycles or destroy all artifacts and enchantments. At its worst, it cycles and hurts your opponent's evidence. And it has a desist can be relevant as well. I don't think it's constructed playable. Flotsam, mill 3 cards, investigate. So you're feeding evidence and you're investigating. Sorry, my neck hurts. Jetsam. Each opponent mills 3 cards, then you may cast a spell from each opponent's graveyard without paying its mana cost. If a spell cast this way would be okay, cool. Solid card. Again, limited fodder for sure. This could be really powerful if you're getting a removal out of the graveyard. You're also kind of enabling the evidence stuff, so you gotta be wary of that. Fuss and Bother. Put a +1/+1 counter on each attacking creature you control for 3 mana. That's really powerful. Again, we've seen the War Leader's Call, so if you're going wide, that's really good. Or for 6 mana, you create 3/1/1 flyers, and you get to Surveil 2. Sorcery speed, though. Again, you can play this on any white deck. You don't need to be blue or red to play this card. This you don't need to be blue. This one you need to be green. Obviously, if you are in the other combinations as well. If I'm not in white, imagine if I'm blue black. Maybe this card's still fine to play. I'm not sure, but yeah, powerful card. Very very powerful card. Come and go. Is that right? Hustle. Oh, vai e viene. I think that's come and go. Whatever. Target creature attack or blocks this turn if able for 1 mana. Sure, you can force your opponent for an unfavorable block or an unfavorable attack. That's an instant. This is a sorcery for 6 mana. Creatures you control get +2/+2 and have trample until the end of the turn. You can. Okay, I can't read all this. Creature control get +2/+2 in trample turn and return a face down creature control. Oh, that bustle is really freaking good. It's like an overrun effect because it gives trample. It doesn't give +2/+2. It gives +2/+2. That's still solid. And you get to flip one of your powerful this hidden creatures. Yeah, this card is great. This card is amazing in limited. Both sides are really good. Push and pull. Destroy target tap creature. Yeah, that's already very very good. Already happy. Put up to 2 creature cards from a single graveyard onto the battlefield and you control. They gain haste. And pull is a good finisher. So you have push as a good remover. You have pull as a good finisher. Yeah, love this card. I'm a bit underwhelmed by like these two are mid. This one is solid. These ones are insane. This one is insane. This one is really good. Cool. We're into the artifact and then we're into lands. Cryptex. Collect evidence 3. Okay, so it's a 2-mana artifact. You tap, collect evidence 3, and then you add a mana. And then you put a counter. And then you can, if it has sacrifice a Surveil 3, then draw 3 cards. You can only do it if it has 5 counters. It's a mana block that's really annoying to enable, but if you enable enough times, you get to draw 3 cards. I don't know, seems really slow. This is Commander, go enjoy yourself there. Gravestone Strider, add 1 mana of any one card, activate to only once each turn. It's a 1/3 for 2. Exile from your graveyard, exile a card from a graveyard. I mean, if you're multiple colors, you might play this guy because you might just need to have an easily cast creature that can kind of fix you. So yeah, it's fine. Lumbering Laundry, 5 mana. For 5 or 2 mana to turn, you may look at the face down creatures you don't control. That's nice. We've seen that effect before in cons and it wasn't particularly exciting. But 5 mana for 5, that's colors. This also has a disguise, so you know it fits the decks. Yeah, it's okay. Magnetic Snuffler. It's an Anteater. 5 mana for 4. When you enter the battlefield, return equipment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Ooh, never sacrifice. Yeah. If I'm playing an aggressive deck with any of the equipments we've seen, I'm definitely playing at least one of this guy. Magnifying Glass we saw earlier. It's a mana rock that investigates. If your deck needs a lot of mana, you might play it, or if it's on sealed, I'm very likely to play it. On draft, we have to see, but very unlikely though. And we've seen the Thinking Cap as well. And then Sanitation Automaton. When you enter the battlefield, Surveil 1, 2 mana to 1. Surveils, which is nice, enables your evidence and trades. It's an artifact for things that matter. Yeah, fine card. Cool, we're on to lands. Branch of Vitu-Ghazi. It's a land that you can also play as a creature. And whenever you flip it up, so you get the mana from it, so you get 1 mana, and you add 2 mana of any one color, so you get 3 mana. You get, you pay 3 mana to flip it back up, and you get the 3 mana back straight away, because you get to tap this for mana, and you get 2 mana. I'll probably play this, especially, it's just a land that's a creature when you need it to be. So yeah, good land. We have all the Surveil lands, no need to talk about them. They're very, very good. They will be really good in Constructed because they have the land type. Surveilling is very powerful because graveyards do matter in most formats. I think the older formats won't play a lot of copies. Most decks might try to play 1 or maybe 2 if they're very slow. But it's probably going to be a 1 copy. Most the modern decks that choose to play these lands, they will play 1 copy. In standard, be very good, as we know, like Scry lands were very good. These are better Scry lands. Escape Tunnel. This is the improved Evolving Wild, so you can just search for basic land, or you can sack it to make a creature power 2 less unblockable. Bad Evolving Wilds. I'm going to be playing 5 colors, so I'm going to be looking for all of these guys. And there's battlefield tap. When there's battlefield sacrifice, unless you tap an untapped artifact or land you control. So it's a fixing land, but you need to sack an artifact or a land. I'm not happy about this. I don't know if I would play this in limited, and sometimes I might be pushed to. Since you can mana of one color, if I have enough artifacts, clues and stuff, I might play it, but you can't play this land early, which is always annoying, and it comes into play tapped, so ugh. Land clue, and it's battlefield tapped, add colors, you can tap an untapped creature control to add an actual color, and you can sack it for land later. Yeah, this is interesting. Entering tap makes it probably not constructed playable. Needing a creature could also hurt you, but it's worth that land. Yeah, I think I think people will misplay it in limited, will play in decks they shouldn't, but it will definitely be a good land in certain decks. All this basics, and yeah, that's it for my Jesus, that was a lot of cards. Yeah, that's my review for the set. Let me know like what cards you're excited about, what decks you're excited about building. If you enjoyed this video, took a bit of effort because it's been here for like 4 hours or 3 and something. Do leave a like, subscribe, and until next time, see ya.